A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And now, Backstage Wife, the story of Mary Noble and what it means to be the wife of a famous star. This is the day before Larry Noble is scheduled to appear in court, charged with the murder of Oliver Wilson, who was found hanging in the wings backstage at the Hamilton Theater just off Broadway, where Larry was starring in a play. And right now, Larry is being visited at the New York City jail by a heavily veiled woman who has kept her identity concealed for some days past. But as the door closes behind her, and she lifts up the veil, we hear...
Larry, you've got to do something, and you've got to do it fast.
Claudia Vincent. Oh, just a minute, Claudia. Take it easy, will you?
I mean it, Larry. You've got to do something about that wife of yours, or I absolutely refuse to have anything more to do with this case.
I don't get it. What are you talking about?
Well, last night I was sitting quietly with your friend Lester Jordan in his apartment, and suddenly your wife Mary appeared without so much as a word of warning, and she started hurling the most abusive insults at me.
Oh, no. What the devil does she mean by doing a thing like that?
Oh, Larry, it was perfectly horrible, and I couldn't stop her. You know, I honestly think she's cracked under the strain of her own guilt and her behavior with Rupert Barlow. Larry, she ought to be put away, at least until after your trial is over.
Oh, Claudia, I don't know what I'm going to do. I told my lawyer yesterday to keep an eye on Mary, but it's obvious he's done nothing about it.
Well, you'd better do something in a hurry if you expect me to stand by and testify for you at your murder trial. Larry, I don't intend to go into that courtroom tomorrow and have Mary shouting her head off that I killed Oliver Wilson and that I'm just trying to hide behind you to protect myself.
Oh, this is rotten for you, Claudia. I'm sorry. I guess you know I didn't want it to happen.
That's all very well, Larry, darling, and I do want to help you. I proved that, haven't I, by staying on in New York even though I was in great danger.
Claudia, you've been grand. I can't tell you how I appreciate it.
Well, then, Larry, can't you have Mary committed to a sanatorium or something?
No.
Well, I don't see why not. She's going to ruin your only chance to be acquitted. Oh, Larry, this is far too serious to take chances with.
Don't I know it? On the other hand, Claudia, it's not easy to manage Mary once she gets an idea into her head.
Well, maybe you'd rather I just left town and let you and your wife work out your destiny.
No, I hope you won't do that, Claudia. I'm depending on you more than you know.
But you still don't care enough to take my part against your wife. Oh, Larry, how can you go on being so blind, so devoted after all Mary's done to you since you've been here in this jail?
For your information, Claudia, not for outside. Mary and I are entirely through as of right now.
Well, you wouldn't know it, the way she's carrying on with Rupert Barlow.
I know that when this is over, if I'm a free man, I mean to give Mary a divorce.
And suppose she doesn't want it?
Then I'll get it myself.
Are you quite sure you mean that, Larry?
I was never more sure of anything in my life.
Oh, you poor darling. Oh, at last you're waking up.
I guess it's about time, Claudia.
Oh, it is, Larry, it really is. Oh, but, darling, I won't make you talk about that anymore. This is far more serious. Larry, you've got to make sure that Mary doesn't make any of these wild declarations in court.
I give you my word that Mary will not interfere with your testimony again. Not after I talk to her.
And I'll take your word for it, Larry. Because I want to be the one to help you out of this awful charge of murder. I want you to think of me as the friend who stood by when everything looked black.
I already do, Claudia.
And when this is over and you're free, in every sense, perhaps I can help you to forget. Oh, I hope so, darling. You've suffered so much.
And at the same time, Mary Noble is back once again at the door of the apartment of Larry's friend Lester Jordan in the East 50s in New York, ringing the bell. Mary thinks to herself,
I know that Claudia Vincent must be out, because the plainclothes man who's been down in the lobby isn't there now. But suppose there's nobody home at all. Suppose I can't get in. Oh, there isn't any time to waste. Please answer, please. How do you do, Mrs. Lawson? You're Mr. Jordan's housekeeper, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well, don't you remember me? I'm Mrs. Noble. My husband and I used to visit Mr. Jordan quite frequently in the past.
Mrs. Noble? Why, bless my soul, of course. Oh, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, and I couldn't recognize you standing there in the hall. Come in, Mrs. Noble. Please come in.
Oh, thank you.
I'm afraid there's no one at home except me. Mr. Jordan's been staying at his club. The Green Room Club, you know. because of Miss Claudia Vincent being here for the time being. Mrs. Noble, I just don't know how to say this, but of course I see the papers like everyone else, and I can't help reading about the terrible trouble you're having in your family, what with your husband going to trial for his life and all.
It's been very difficult, Mrs. Lawson. The trial opens tomorrow, and we're all very much on edge.
Oh, bless you, Mrs. Noble, of course you are. And I'll be saying a prayer for you till it's all over.
That's very good of you.
I remember how nice it was seeing the two of you together. Mr. Jordan used to say to me, if he could find a woman to be happy with, like Mr. Noble and you, they'd be married these long years.
That's very sweet.
And now, you know, it looks like Mr. Jordan's getting interested in that Miss Vincent. Though I don't mind telling you, I wouldn't trust the likes of her, not as far as I could throw her. Making up to him, being so sweet butter would melt in her mouth. And then giving me orders like I was the dirt under her feet the minute he's gone. She's no lady, and that's a fact.
I'm sorry you've had such a disagreeable time, Mrs. Lawson. It's very nice of Mr. Jordan to allow Miss Vincent to stay here, though. He's doing it because she's going to testify at my husband's trial.
So I understand. Though what she'll have to say that would help a person, I don't know. What I'm wondering is, how long after the trial is ended will she stay here?
I'm sure I don't know.
Oh, well now, Mrs. Noble, it's no good talking the head off you all this time. Won't you come inside and let me fetch you a nice cup of tea?
Well, thank you, Mrs. Lawson, but I'm afraid I haven't time.
Nonsense, it'll only take a minute or two, and you can make yourself at home.
Well, in that case, do you mind if I freshen up a bit?
What?
I've been running around town and I'm terribly dirty.
Why, you go right ahead. Take that room right there. That's where Miss Vincent's staying. Heaven knows what kind of a mess she's left it in. Never puts a thing away. Oh, perhaps you'd better come through here and into the study.
Oh, this'll be just fine. I won't be a minute. Just comb my hair and freshen my makeup.
But then let me open the door and turn on the light. Oh, Lord, save us when you look at the place. And at that, it's not as bad as usual.
Oh, it'll be just fine, thank you.
Very well, then. I'll go along to the kitchen, and I'll have tea for you now in no time.
Don't make it too soon. I've got to search this place thoroughly. Now, where shall I begin? The dressing table? I might find something. Oh, nothing but cold creams and lipsticks and cosmetics. Nothing here. Better try the dresser. I suppose I'm a fool to think Claudia might have kept them instead of throwing them away at once, but it's my only chance. If I could just find them. Claudia Vincent isn't going to court and tell everyone that Larry didn't kill Oliver Wilson because Larry locked Claudia into a dressing room and was with her at the time. It's a lie. And I've got to prove it. I've got to. Sign of them. Not in any of the drawers. Maybe in the closet. Yes, it's hopeless. Yet I had to try. Nothing here on the floor, just the shoes. Mrs. Lawson will be back and she'll wonder what I'm up to. I can't spend any more time. And yet, maybe if I just look inside these cases. No, not in this pocket. Maybe on the side. Wait. This may be what I'm looking for. It's just possible. Oh, please, if only I found the proof. If only I...
Did you find everything you needed, Mrs. Noble? Good gracious. Whatever are you doing crouched down there in the closet?
Mrs. Lawson, I think I found something terribly important.
What?
I haven't time to explain. It's something I've been searching for in vain.
What?
Just try to believe that I didn't come here just to cause you trouble. It's a matter of life and death.
Mrs. Noble.
Will you try to tidy up just a little so that Miss Vincent won't know I was here?
Good gracious, I don't understand at all.
I know you don't, but I'll explain later. Please just trust me a little. And don't let a soul know I was here.
Well, if you say so, Mrs. Noble. But what about the tea? I have it all ready in the living room.
I can't wait, Mrs. Lawson. There's something I must do, and it can't wait a single minute.
Mrs. Lawson watches Mary Noble's exit in complete astonishment. But Mary isn't even aware of her, or of anything except the object of her search, which she has stuffed into the pocket of her coat. Where is she headed, and what will be the result? Well, be sure to be listening tomorrow to Backstage Wife, the story of Mary Noble and her husband Larry Noble, famous Broadway star.
story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all long cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You go to an apartment house and answer to a shooting and dead body call. Her husband tells you it's suicide. The facts show it to be murder. Your job? Find out. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, March 9th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 4:35 p.m. when we got to the first floor of the Kelsey Apartment Hotel. Apartment 112.
Hi, Joe. Ben.
Hi, Harry.
How are you?
What have you got here?
The woman's dead, shot through the right temple with a .45 automatic. Husband claims it's suicide.
What's the name?
Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Robertson. Wife's name was Marie. That's Mr. Robertson right over here.
Has the crime lab been called?
Yeah, about 2 minutes ago. Fine. Mr. Robertson, this is Sergeant Romero, Sergeant Friday.
How do you do? How are you, sir? Have you questioned Mr. Robertson?
No, not yet.
Mr. Robertson, do you want to tell us what happened here?
Well, I'd just gotten back from the corner grocery store. My wife and I had a little argument going. It started before I left for the store, and it was still on when I got back.
I see.
She was fixing chicken fried steaks for dinner, putting the flour on them. We had a few more words, and I went over and sat on the Davenport right where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
She was standing there in the doorway to the kitchen. She said something that set me off, and I guess I got pretty mad and said a few things. Then she went back over to that little nightstand there by the door to the kitchen.
That one right there?
Yeah, that's it. That's where I keep my Army automatic. She pulled it out of the drawer and backed up into the kitchen. She put the gun to her head and said, "This'll put an end to the argument once and for all." I yelled at her and tried to stop her, but I was too late. She pulled the trigger and fell right there where she is.
What'd you do then?
I went upstairs to Ted Carlton's place. He lives in 212 right above us. We don't have a phone here. I asked him to call the police and send for an ambulance.
Did you go over to see how badly your wife was shot?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. The minute she fired, I rushed right over to her, but I was too late. She was dead.
Now, did you touch anything in here, move anything at all?
No, sir, not a thing. I've been sitting here ever since I got back down from Ted's room upstairs.
I see.
Joe?
Yeah?
Empty cartridge casing here on the floor.
Yeah. When Jones gets here, we'll measure the distance. Just a minute. We can put this saucer over till the crime lab gets here.
All right.
Riley. All right. Crime lab's here Friday. Need Jones.
Hi, Lee.
Hello, Joe. Ben?
Hi, Lee.
Fremont, would you mind taking Mr. Robertson downtown? We'll be right down as soon as we finish up here.
Right, Joe. See you later.
Thanks a lot, Harry.
Let's go. What do we got here?
Shot through the right temple. Husband claimed suicide.
Mm-hmm. What's under the saucer?
Empty casing.
Looks like she was flouring meat, huh?
That's what the husband says, yeah.
It's probably what that is in the barrel of the automatic there.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Wastebasket's sure full, isn't it?
Yeah?
Right tempo, huh? 45 automatic.
Yeah.
If she shot herself in the kitchen, how do you figure the empty casing got out there in the living room? Position of the body doesn't warrant that. That'll be Ed McGill, the photographer.
Come in. Friday?
Yeah?
Oh, Ed?
Oh, Ed.
Well, what you want to shoot?
Why don't you get an overall of the room first and grab one in the kitchen there?
All right.
Wait till I get that saucer off the casing, Ed. Okay.
All right. Mary, you want to move over there, love?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. All right. Now, you want the kitchen?
Right from where you are now is good. We can get out of your way here.
Okay, this is fine.
Now, right over the body. Better get that chair to stand up.
Oh, yeah, here you are. Not much room to work in here.
Can you get it all in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Use the wastebasket as your outside line here and kitchen sink on the other side.
Can't get the sink in. Will you settle for the wastebasket only?
Fine. Just use that as your right-hand sideline, huh?
All right. Okay.
So while you fellas finish up in here, we're going to run upstairs and everything.
Okay, Joe.
Come on, Ben.
Where do you want to go first? 212?
Well, that's this Ted Carlton Robertson mentioned in it.
Yeah, the fellow who's supposed to have called in for him.
All right, yeah. Here it is, right at the head of the stairs.
Yes? Police officers. You're Mr. Carlton?
Yes, that's right. Come in.
Thank you very much.
This is an awful thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We understand that you're a friend of the Robertsons.
Yes, I am. Have you found out anything yet? You think Andy killed her?
We don't know. We haven't completed our investigation.
Oh, I see. I'll bet that's the way it was. I hate to say that, but from all indications, it certainly looks that way.
Mm-hmm. How do you mean?
The argument, the shouting, then that single shot. I don't know, but it sure struck me that Andy did it.
When did the argument start? Was it prolonged, do you know?
What do you mean?
When did it start? What time, you know?
This one today started about 3:30 when Andy got back from the store, but they've been arguing ever since I've known them.
And how long have you known them?
About 2 years. Those two never should have gotten married to begin with, if I'm any judge.
Are you married?
No, sir, I'm not.
I wonder if you could tell us. Did Mrs. Robertson ever say anything that would lead you to believe that she was in fear of her life?
Well, yes, she did. One time Andy stalked out of the apartment down there, and Marie came up here to see me. She was in tears, all broken up about it, as usual during these spats.
Oh, I see.
She said, I'll try to remember exactly how she put it. She said, Andy gets so mad sometimes I think he's going to kill me.
What did they usually argue about, do you know?
Oh, different things. This particular time that I was telling you about, I think it was over his being late for dinner.
Oh, I see.
Now, aside from this one instance, is there anything else that you can tell us?
Well, Andy has a terrible temper, that I know. We used to go out and bowl once in a while, Marie, Andy, and myself. We had to stop. Every time he'd miss a spare, you'd think it was the end of the world.
Would he usually seem to take it out on his wife?
Most of the time, yeah. Although I must say I caught it a few times myself. Abusive language. She really carried on over nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Did Robertson leave his wife home alone much of the time?
No, not any more than usual. Seems like he always wanted to get home just so they could argue. Everybody in the apartment house knows about him.
But you said that Mrs. Robertson came up here after that one particular argument, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, does she come up here often?
No, not very often. Just when she was unusually upset and her nerves were on edge. But only then when Andy would rush out mad.
Well, do you know whether or not Robertson owns a gun?
Yes, I believe he does. Matter of fact, I know he does. One night we were having trouble with prowlers, and he came up here with his automatic.
I see.
Later on, I think I asked him where he got the gun. He said from the Army.
Was there anything else you can add, Mr. Gordon?
I was the one who called the police. You knew that.
That's what we understand.
Didn't Andy tell you? He came up here right after the shot and asked me to call the police for him. They don't have a phone.
Well, exactly how did he tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what were his exact words? Can you remember them?
Well, he said, my wife's shot. Call the police and get an ambulance quick.
And what was your reaction to this?
I'd heard the shot, so I wasn't too surprised. But when Andy came running up here, I knew before he said a word. You could tell just to look at him.
You could tell what?
Something was wrong. I had a hunch all along that this might happen someday.
What's that?
That Andy had killed his wife.
Ben and I continued questioning the various neighbors in the apartment building. Their stories all matched in every detail. The Robertsons had been known to argue, quite frequently and quite loud. None of the neighbors could definitely say that they had ever heard Andrew Robertson threaten his wife. All of them volunteered it would be entirely possible. We put in a call to R&I. We found that there was no previous record on Andrew Robertson nor his wife, Marie. Before Lee Jones had finished his investigation, latent fingerprint men had arrived, and the men from the coroner's office were standing by for removal of the body. We canvassed the neighborhood and checked with the various merchants in the area. They could shed no further light on the death of Marie Robertson. The coroner removed the body from apartment 112, and Lee Jones continued with his investigation. Ben and I returned downtown for further interrogation of the suspect.
Everything I've told you was the truth.
Would you mind going over it just once more?
All right. We had our quarrels and arguments, and I guess some of them were pretty bad, but I'd never do a thing like this to Marie.
Well, you don't seem very upset about all this, Robertson.
I'm not crying, if that's what you mean. I'm sorry she had to do it. Tried to stop her, but there was nothing I could do.
Well, you seem to be taking all this pretty well under the circumstances.
I don't know if I can explain how I feel about it. You see, Marie and I weren't too happy the past couple of years. We've been married 8 years, and I guess from the start we never could hit it off.
Did you used to argue quite a bit?
No, not at first we didn't. It just seemed that we've drifted apart the last couple of years. We seemed to fight all the time over nothing at all. I honestly believe we fell out of love.
Well, would you mind telling us again exactly what happened this afternoon?
First of all, I got up. I always like to sleep on Sundays. She asked me to go to the store. That started the argument. She knows I don't like to go shopping, but it seemed like she was always forgetting something, and I'd have to go.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back from the store, she was making chicken fried steaks for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
She was putting flour on the meat. We argued back and forth for a minute, and then she stepped into the living room. I went over and sat on the Davenport.
All right, go on.
We had a few more words, and she went over to the small nightstand by the kitchen door and took out my Army automatic that I kept in there. She backed up into the kitchen and pointed the gun at her head.
Yeah.
She said this will end the argument once and for all. As I said, I was on the Davenport about 12 feet away from her. I yelled at her.
What'd you say?
I said, Marie, put that gun down. It's loaded. Before I could reach her, she pulled the trigger.
Then what'd you do?
I rushed over to her, but it was too late. She was dead.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
We don't have a phone, so I rushed upstairs to the apartment right over us, Ted Carlton's. I asked him to phone for the police and the ambulance.
Did you tell Carlton about your wife?
Yes, I did. I told him she'd been shot.
Then where'd you go?
So, just like I told you, out of the apartment, I went back downstairs and waited in the living room for you people to get there.
Did you go near your wife's body?
No, I did not.
Did you always keep that gun loaded?
Yes, I did. I always kept it loaded and actuated. The shell in the chamber, but I kept the safety lock on. Marie knew how to operate the gun because I showed her for when I was out late.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't strong enough to actuate it, but she could work the safety.
Did your wife ever try to commit suicide before?
Not to my knowledge.
Mr. Robertson, you sure that everything you've told us is the truth?
It's the absolute truth, every word of it.
Well, sir, here's the way it looks to us. We think you killed your wife.
I didn't.
Let us lay out a few things for you. We talked to your friends and neighbors in the apartment house. We have people who will testify to the fact that your wife was afraid that you might kill her. She told one man that.
It isn't true. I don't know what she may have told somebody, but I didn't kill her.
It's a known fact throughout the entire apartment building that you and your wife had violent quarrels. The kind of arguments, from all reports, that could easily lead to something like this.
I told you we argued, but I didn't kill Marie. I couldn't do a thing like that.
Mr. Robertson, we've made a preliminary investigation of your apartment. You say your wife killed herself. Let me show you some of the flaws in your story here.
All I can say is what I've told you is the truth. I didn't kill her.
Now, you told us that your wife went to the nightstand and got the gun.
That's right.
How did she pick up the automatic?
How do you mean?
Well, how'd she take it from the drawer?
Like anyone would pick up a gun? By the butt? She picked it up like anybody would who was going to use it.
And you're sure about that?
Positive.
She didn't touch anything but the butt.
Well, she had part of her hand on the trigger.
Well, we know that, but she didn't touch any other part of the weapon.
She did not. She didn't have time.
Well, then how do you account for the fact that we found traces of flour on the barrel of the gun?
Well, sure, she was flouring meat.
Well, how did the flour get on the barrel?
I don't know.
Well, isn't it true that when you approached her with the automatic pointed at her, she tried to ward off the shot with her hand? Now, isn't that how the flour got on that barrel?
That isn't true.
Now, you said your wife was putting flour on some steaks.
That's right.
How do you account for the fact that we didn't find any flour on the butt of the gun where it belonged? Or on the drawer of the nightstand, where you say she first picked up the automatic?
Well, I can't answer that. I don't know what all this means.
Well, it means that unless you've got some kind of explanation, we have to assume that you're lying, that you killed your wife.
I don't know how to explain all these things, but I didn't kill her.
Mr. Robertson, you say you were an Army man. Isn't that what you told us out at the apartment?
Yes, I was a sergeant in the Army during the last war.
What outfit were you in?
I was an instructor in sidearm weapons at Santa Ana Army Air Base.
Then you'd be somewhat of an authority on the Colt .45 caliber automatic pistol, wouldn't you?
I guess I would, yeah. That was one of the weapons I instructed in.
You'd know all about the system of ejection employed by the Colt company on their .45 automatic.
Yes, I would.
The empty casing ejects to the right, up and back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
In other words, if you were pointing a .45 at me and you pulled the trigger, the empty casing would eject to your right, up, and fall on the floor to the rear on your right side. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where it would end up.
You still maintain that your wife shot herself?
Yes, I do.
Where was she standing when she pulled the trigger?
As I told you before, in the kitchen.
How was she standing?
What do you mean?
Which way was she facing?
Well, let's see. Facing me. Yeah, that's right, in the kitchen with her back to the sink, facing out toward me.
And where were you?
On the Davenport in the living room, facing her.
Now, bearing in mind what we've already discussed and agreed upon concerning the ejection system of a .45, how do you account for the fact that the empty casing was found in the living room, 6 feet and 4 inches from the kitchen?
Well, let's see.
I'll figure it for you. The empty casing should have been found on the floor of the kitchen, somewhere to the right and rear of your wife. Isn't that about it?
I don't understand. Why are you trying to prove me guilty? I've told you, and I swear to you, I didn't kill my wife.
Well, it'd be a physical impossibility for that empty casing to have landed anywhere but in the kitchen if your wife had pulled the trigger of that automatic. Now, how about that?
What can I say? Please believe what I'm telling you. I didn't do it.
Not according to the evidence.
I don't understand any of this.
Well, here's the way we've got it reconstructed. You had a quarrel. You got the gun. You met your wife at the doorway to the kitchen. You pointed the gun at her. She tried to ward it off with her left hand, leaving flour on the barrel of the gun. You fired, and the casing was thrown up and back to the right, where it landed on the rug of the living room.
The testimony of the neighbors, the flour on your wife's hand, the position of the empty casing. Robertson, you're it.
I don't know why all these things are the way you say they are.
Well, we do. We don't believe your wife committed suicide. You think about it. Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
Evidence we've got so far has got him tabbed.
Yeah. With all that proof, he still refuses to cop out.
Something doesn't jibe.
Maybe we can find out why.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Now, from beginning to end, the Fatima story. Actual convincing proof that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes, rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more long cigarette smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
So if you smoke a long cigarette, compare Fatima. You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you,
ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Insist on Fatima. Start enjoying the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all, long cigarettes.
We had Gene Bechtel take Andrew Robertson's statement. We had his testimony that his wife had committed suicide, a fact that he couldn't prove and that we could disprove. We had before us the final investigation. All evidence was taken to the crime lab for analysis. The photographs taken at the scene were developed and brought in for careful checking. In accordance with Robertson's story, both he and his deceased wife were given paraffin tests to determine the presence of nitrates. Both of them were fingerprinted, and latent prints detail started to check them out. 2 teams of men were sent out to talk with the close relatives of the 2 people. Sunday, March 9th, 7 p.m. We got a call from Lieutenant Lee Jones that he had the final results of his investigation. We went over to the second floor of the Central Station, crime lab.
Got a couple of things for you.
Okay.
How'd you make out with Robertson?
Well, he insists that it was suicide. What's your idea on it?
Let me show you what we got.
All right.
Yeah, look at this.
A picture of the .45 casing.
That's right. Take a close look at it. Right here in particular.
Yeah.
You notice this one edge is a little crimped here?
Yeah, ejector marks.
No, here are your ejector marks up here, see? This crimping is something entirely different.
What is it?
You remember where you found this casing?
6 feet 4 inches into the living room.
That's right.
And we wondered how it could have been thrown that far by the ejector if the husband's story is true.
The ejector didn't do that. I wondered, too. On closer inspection, I noticed this crimping. Let me show you how this casing got out there in the living room. Here's an identical .45 caliber called empty casing.
Yeah.
We place it here on the floor on a piece of carpeting the same thickness that was in their kitchen, linoleum. Now, watch this. I'll step on it, hitting it from an angle. There's your answer to that. When the husband ran over to his wife's side, what did he say he did?
Yeah, it's about the size of it.
He stepped on the casing accidentally, and certainly not caring about it at that moment, it bounced out into the living room just like a tiddlywink. Here. Notice the casing now, the crimping. Check it against the photo.
Yeah. Looks exactly the same way. It matches.
Did the flour on the barrel of the gun, it was flour, by the way, did it figure in for you fellas?
Well, yeah, we figured the wife was trying to ward off the gun when he pointed it at her.
Well, certainly the logical deduction. Now, let me show you how it really got on there. Here's that shot of the kitchen out there.
Yeah.
Notice the wastebasket here? It's pretty full, isn't it?
Yeah, we noticed that when we were out there.
What you probably didn't notice is this. Here's a blow-up of just that section where the wastebasket was. Can you see what's on the top of the stuff in the basket there?
Yeah, hold it over here, leave little
Yeah.
lights in. Yeah, it looks like a flour sack, isn't it?
That's right, an empty flour sack. Now, figuring the position of the body in relation to that wastebasket, when she dropped the gun, it fell from her hand, striking the wastebasket, bouncing off, and landing on the floor where you found it.
You said when she dropped the gun, you figured it was suicide?
It's beginning to shape up that way, isn't it?
There was no flour found on the butt of the gun.
That part of the automatic didn't come in contact with the flour sack.
Yeah, but at least she was flouring meat.
There were no traces of it on her right hand, on the palm, just on the back. In checking the clothing, we found streaks of flour where she could have wiped her hands clean before picking up the gun.
Yeah, and out there we could only see the backs of her hand. The coroner checked that through, huh? It doesn't look like he killed her.
There's more here. As you know, we ran paraffin tests on both the victim and Robertson.
Yeah.
Here's the results of the tests.
See. Andrew Robertson, known nitrates negative. Marie Robertson, evidence of nitrates positive.
She fired a gun, he didn't, huh?
That's it. There's something else. Here's the report from latent prints. Smudges. One good thumbprint, right hand, belonging to Marie Robertson, indicating she was the last one to handle the weapon.
Well, that's about it, Lee?
No, that's more for you. Now, this shot was taken facing the east wall of the kitchen. Now, that's the wall that would be on anyone's left, sitting on the Davenport in the front room.
That's right.
Wouldn't be possible to see that wall from the Davenport.
No, it wouldn't, that's right.
You can see the white X where we located the slug.
Yeah.
Relative to the position of the body, if she was standing, holding the gun at approximately a right angle with the side of her head, the bullet would come to rest approximately 4 inches below the crown of her head.
Yeah. Does it check out?
The coroner says she was 5'4". The bullet was found at a height of 5 1/8, proving that she shot herself rather than anyone else doing it, judging from the inclination of the bullet. As you know, this is critical.
Yeah.
From what it's worth, the condition of the wound indicates that it was inflicted from extreme close range. Fair point when you consider that most people wouldn't submit to being shot from close range without a struggle or unless taken by surprise.
Well, from all reports, we know she wasn't taken by surprise.
Well, that's it, fellas. That's all I have.
Well, thanks, Lee. Sure enough.
Crime Lab, Jones. Yeah, right here. Just a minute. Either one of you.
All right, Lee, I'll get it. Huh? Thanks. Friday. Oh, hi, Harry. You did, huh? What's that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have the letter with you? It does, huh? Yeah? Yeah, right, Harry. Thank you very much. Bye. Harry Fremont. He just left Marie Robertson's mother.
What'd she have to say?
Well, Fremont says she gave him a letter. He's on his way in with it now. It was written by Marie Robertson. It says something about taking her own life. Her mother says that the husband couldn't have done it. Says the daughter's shown indication in the past of wanting to take her own life.
Well, that about cinches it.
Makes you feel kind of good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Finding a man clear on a charge instead of having to hang him up.
Come on, Ben.
Right.
Where you headed?
Back across the street.
Wait till I get my coat. I'll go with you.
What for?
I want to see him, too, when you tell him.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 12th, the hearing was held in the office of the coroner, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, a great many listeners have written us saying that they first bought Fatimas because they liked our program. But they go on to say that after smoking their first pack, they agree with everything that we've said about them. That Fatimas are extra mild. That they do have a better flavor and aroma. Well, naturally, we're pleased when you get acquainted with Fatimas because all of us on Dragnet are convinced Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. When you buy your first pack, I'm sure you'll agree. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Andrew William Robertson was immediately released from custody. A 510 form was made out, exonerating him from any complicity in the death of his wife.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James M. Fox, President of the Southern California chapter of the Mystery Writers of America.
The Edgar Allan Poe Awards of the Mystery Writers of America are made each year for outstanding contributions in the field of mystery. This year, by a nationwide vote of 300 professional mystery writers, the radio award goes to Dragnet for consistent excellence in the use of the medium in the best traditions of our craft. The Mystery Writers of America are happy to present their Edgars, statuettes of Poe, to Dragnet's Jim Moser, who writes the scripts, and a duplicate statuette to Dragnet. Congratulations, Mr. Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over many NBC stations.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's transcribed story, No Sad Clowns for Me.
There was a tall clown and a short clown juggling this one, plus a sleek but overaged destroyer named Ruth that wore tights and trained tigers. All parts of a big circus playing a small town of 649 people. And somewhere along the midway, a joker wanted to cut me down to size. 6-foot box size. I wasn't thinking about the circus when I went to the detective bureau Wednesday morning, but my boss was. The lion was up to his knuckles in...
Green, my boy. I've just about decided to have our whole office done over in green.
Why the sea of $1 bills?
A client, my boy, with payment in advance.
Those bills look like they've been papered in a rat's nest.
They're all in pieces, my boy, but they're good.
You'd know.
Yeah, of course. Notice when I hold this one against this 300-watt light, the paper's made with silk threads. Fitting the torn bills together, they come to $67, Jeffrey.
And the client is...
See this canvas bag?
Bottle top?
It's full of nickels, dimes, and quarters, Jeffrey. With the $1 bills, it makes a very nice retainer of $75.
For which we do what?
Nothing.
Oh, wait a minute, Fatso. You mean a client walked in here, laid down $75 to hire us to do nothing?
Exactly.
Duck, there's a curve on this pitch.
No, my boy. The whole thing's perfectly legitimate. Our client walked in about an hour ago.
Description?
Well, he was a tall man, eccentric.
Go on.
45 or 50 years old, long, pale, stringy, yellowish hair, like an actor, and oddly dressed.
This keeps getting better.
Well, he had on a single-breasted pinstripe suit and tennis sneakers, a rope for a belt.
Does he fly?
What? No. Anyway, Jeffrey, he put the money down. He saw I was worried about the small denominations, and then he said, "It's not brass." Just like that.
It's not brass.
A circus expression, my boy. Then he leaned right over this desk and said slowly, showing his big teeth, Jeffrey, "When a little old man named Crackley comes in, don't take his case."
And you went for that?
Of course. We do nothing, no trouble at all.
Lion, it could be we're in trouble. Give me our client's name and address and the retainer. I'll take it back.
Well, unfortunately...
Don't tell me. You didn't get the name and address.
Well, you see, my boy, he was in a great hurry.
You gave him a receipt for the $75?
Oh, of course. Everything very businesslike.
That ties us into the case, but good. Now, no matter what happens, we're mixed up in it.
You're borrowing trouble.
We bought it.
Oh, relax, my boy.
We got to get that receipt.
Forget it. Just be grateful.
Okay, Lion. But if Crackley shows up, be careful. I turned and started for the door. I knew client was a crank. You'd have to be more than careful. But I couldn't dump the trouble into the lion's lap. I slammed the door on my way out. The noise made a little old guy jump. He was standing in the hall, just outside our door. Wasn't hard to figure who he was. Crackley?
You know my name?
Well, I do now. You're on your way into the Lion Detective Bureau.
Yes.
I'm Regan.
The Lion's Eye?
That's what they call me.
You're the man I came here to see. You were highly recommended.
I'd like to talk to you, Crackley. I know a place they'll let us sit down for 50 cents.
Yeah, I could use a drink.
I thought maybe. We went to Dugan's bar. Crackley was a little guy, but smart, almost sharp. He had an outdoor face, tanned, with deep wrinkles like closed eyes in his forehead. Like he had a lot on his mind, and he wanted to talk.
I'm the owner of a circus, Mr. Regan.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, you don't understand. I don't know if you can imagine the responsibilities of a circus owner. To his employers, I mean. They're all specialists. And if we were to close up and go out of business, well, there'd be no place for them to go.
Except another circus.
Oh, circus business has fallen off since the war years, Mr. Regan.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Business is terrible.
Oh, sure.
Another drink, gentlemen?
No, thanks.
No, I don't.
Now, why did you come to the Lion Detective Bureau?
I want you to find a man named Bliss.
Why?
Well, Bliss has been investing in my circus.
Putting money into a losing proposition?
Oh, it's not unusual. People that love the circus, especially wealthy people, enjoy putting their money into things that give them pleasure.
Bliss is missing?
Well, for the last 3 weeks.
And the money has stopped coming into the circus?
Well, yes, Mr. Regan.
When did you last see Bliss?
The fact is, I've never seen Bliss.
But he puts money into your circus?
Through his lawyer. Right now we're playing Bliss's hometown. I'd hope to meet him in person. But...
Yeah. What would you say, Mr. Crackley, if I told you a strange man came into our bureau this morning and paid us not to take your case?
Why, someone's following me?
Well, I don't know, but... Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Crackley, someone's following you.
Mr. Regan, what are you looking at?
You mean, what is it looking at us?
Where?
Stay put. I'll be right back. I ran to the window. The face that had been peering in at us whipped out of sight. A couple of winos in Dugan's door cost me 2 or 3 seconds getting out, and that was enough. When I got to the street, it was empty. The man with the long, stringy, yellowish hair who'd been watching us was gone. I went back into the bar. That's when I got a second surprise. Crackley was gone, too. A quick call to Billboard gave me what I needed. The Crackley Great Combined Circus was playing a town of 650 people. A place called Crossroads in the foothills, about a 2-hour drive from L.A. The crank with the yellow hair on the rope belt was somehow tied up with that Crackley circus. Yellow Hair had the Lion's signed receipt. I had to get it back. So I got into my car and headed for Crossroads. And when I got there, funny thing, the town was deserted. But the circus midway was jammed. It looked like Crossroads' whole 649 population was at that circus.
Hot dogs, hot puppies, they're delicious, they're nutritious. Step up and get one.
How much?
Eh?
A hot dog, how much?
Oh, yeah, hot dog. Hey, you mean you're going to buy one?
Why not?
Nobody buys nothing in this cheap burg.
Business looks pretty good to me. Everybody in town here at the circus.
Don't cost them nothing.
Oh, no?
Old Crackley's putting on a show for nothing. Making it look good for Bliss, his silent partner.
The show's papered then. Annie Oakley's for free, huh?
Say, you Bliss?
And if I am?
I ain't said nothing.
Yeah. How much for the hot dog?
2 bits.
I paid for the hot dog, walked along the midway asking questions wherever I could get an answer. It's like the dog peddler had said. Crackley had papered the house, bought tickets for everyone in town to guarantee business. We weren't supposed to take the case, but the situation was interesting, and I got to wondering about Bliss, how he fitted in. But then I remembered I was here to get our receipt back, so I bypassed the midway, walked around to the performers' tents. No gaudy signs here, no freak shows, palmists, or ballet. And I found a woman, or rather, she found me.
Regan?
Nice to be known.
This is my tent, Mr. Regan. Please come in.
She was tall, slim. You could spend time watching her. Young, but not too young. Her hair was long and black, almost to the roots. Her face was firm, beautiful, but her eyes had already been there and back. Then we were in her tent, nobody around except the tigers just outside. And she got nearer. And I could see more.
Regan.
Nice tent.
I got a message.
Uh-huh.
Go home.
That's your message?
Go back to L.A., Crackley says.
You a friend of Crackley's?
He saw you on the midway. He said, that's Regan. That's the Lion's Eye from L.A. that ought to go home.
You sure it wasn't Bliss?
You know Bliss?
Oh, yeah. A very close personal friend of mine.
You're clever, Regan.
It's my business.
Make sure your business doesn't get you into trouble.
Hey, that tiger's close.
Yeah, I work the big cats. They hate me and I hate them. I like them kept near me. Gives me a chance to whip them through the bars whenever I'm feeling blue.
Lady.
Yeah?
What's your name?
I got a surprise for you, Mr. Regan.
I've had lots today.
My name's Crackley.
You're married to old Crackley, the circus owner?
I married his son, Mr. Regan.
His son?
Yeah, George Crackley. The little runt that's standing in back of you.
I turned. George was there, all right. And he was little, maybe 4 feet 10 inches tall, wearing a clown suit. His face was in queer makeup, chalk white, bruised blue. He was supposed to look like a sad clown. And he was.
What are you doing around here?
Looking for a man.
She look like a man?
No.
You're after my wife, too. You were standing real close.
Guys fall in love with me, Regan. My husband's a poor sport about it.
Oh, make sure you don't wake up dead, mister. Make sure you don't get dropped on.
I'll be real careful.
George, if you don't get out of here,
Ruth,
Don't you think it's time you were getting into your costume? The walk-around will begin in 4 or 5 minutes.
A tall clown filled the opening to the tent. When he spoke, Ruth began fumbling with the costume. Little George looked like he was going to cry, then walked out of the tent without a word. Ruth followed him. And I was left alone with a tall clown in makeup, with a red watermelon mouth and cold blue eyes.
I hated to interrupt, Mr. Regan, but Ruth must dress for the walk-around, as we of the circus call our opening parade.
You seem to have an effect on George, too.
Oh, George and I are partners. He's the sad, bruised clown, and I am the cruel clown. I frighten him, maul him, beat and bruise him with various objects. It amuses people.
Naturally.
We're all sadists at heart.
Maybe you can help me.
I'll try.
I'm looking for a tall, eccentric man. Wears tennis shoes, rope for a belt. Has long, stringy, yellowish hair, you know? I said, do you know him?
Of course. That would be Mr. Bliss.
Where can I find him?
As a matter of fact, Mr. Regan, I have a message from Mr. Bliss. He wants to see you.
Oh? Who will I say sent me?
Just the cruel clown. He'll know who you mean.
Where do I meet Bliss?
At his home. I'll tell you how to get there.
He did. I got into my car and started the drive to his shack. I'd meet him on his own terms at his place. It was a 15-minute drive, most of the way up a side road. I was almost there when a car pulled into the side road behind me, coming up fast, its headlights growing in my rearview mirror. I pulled over to let the speedball pass. He began to cut in on me. The trailer he had hitched on sideswiped me. I felt myself go against the steering post. Then I didn't feel anything for a long time. I'd been thrown clear of my car. When I came to, there was a huge man standing over me, black in the moonlight. My gun was gone. My hand caught at a club, and then I saw it wasn't a club, but a small, very small chair arm. Must have fallen from the trailer. The trailer was gone. The man started moving in.
Well, sweetheart.
Stand back.
Coming to, sweetheart?
Get back.
I got your gun, baby. I'm Logan, chief of police at Crossroads. Maybe I ought to take you into custody for reckless driving.
Logan, I'm a private detective from Los Angeles.
Well, why don't you get up from the ground and tell me about it? Here.
Yeah, thanks. Somebody ran me off the road on purpose. I think I know who.
That's so, sweetheart?
That's not all. There's something phony about that circus play in your town.
Ain't no circus around here.
You're real funny.
Fact is, I'll make you a bet, baby. You can't show me no circus around these parts.
You seem sure of that.
Give you 20 to 1.
Let's go take a look.
All right.
We drove in his car to the circus lot. When we got there, we saw the lot was full of color. All of it moonlight. Vacant. Not a candy wrapper. The crackly great combined circus was gone. As though it had never existed.
This is CBS, and you are listening to No Sad Clowns for Me, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator.
It started bad, and it got worse. The lion had us balled up in it like a cat in a fish line before I even heard of the case. Then I took over. I did fine. Trying to get our receipt for $75 back, I got myself run off the road near the town of Crossroads, got my car smashed up. Then the chief of police told me that the crackly great combined circus where I'd spent an hour wasn't there. And it wasn't. The chief of police thought this was real funny.
Where'd the circus go, sweetheart?
L.A., probably.
You're kind of slick.
Couldn't have been gone more than an hour. Look at those filled-in post holes.
You're a real bright fella.
And I know why it left in such a hurry.
Oh, you city fellas are Real sharp like.
The circus left because of a guy named Bliss.
You know about Bliss.
Bliss was putting money into a circus, not taking any out.
Keep talking.
Bliss gets tired of this, slaps an attachment on the circus. Crackley pulled the show out before it could be served.
Yeah, you're real smart. You'd better come along with me, sweetheart. We better have a little, talking.
It hit the bullseye, and I got more than I bargained for. It seems Bliss had no friends, except Logan, who, being the local legal eagle, was also appointed by Bliss as his lawyer, having full power of attorney. Now Logan was ready to talk.
Bliss, now, he ain't no dummy. He was in the circus himself years ago, before he got wise and made a lot of dough in plumbing fixtures. Ain't no money in show business, sweetheart.
They tell me.
Now, Bliss, he ain't old, but he's kind of funny. All of a sudden, he wants to...
invest in a circus. His old love. But he also wants to make some money out of it.
Oh, Bliss, he likes money. He married a circus gal years ago. Left her because she was draining away his salary.
How much money did Bliss put into the Crackley circus?
Well, baby, Bliss bought in deep enough to own, 49% of the show.
Bliss isn't getting any money out of his investment, so he slaps an attachment on the show. Crackley gets wind of it, pulls the show out.
You were right up to there, sweetheart.
Talk, Logan.
I got a note from Bliss just this afternoon. Told me to lift the attachment order. It was a real happy note.
Where's Bliss now?
Honest, baby, I don't know. He's queer. He's just gone.
Bliss skipped out on his wife. That can't be his real name.
No, I can't tell you much. Promised Bliss I wouldn't, but his name used to be Elmer C. Bickle.
You got a phone, Logan?
Here you are, baby. But get the charges.
I was getting an idea. Another reason for the show's moving. One thing was sure. Bliss was in it up to his ears. It was 2 a.m. now, and I got the Lion at home.
Anthony J. Lion, Detective Bureau, Home Office. We never sleep.
And why haven't you been asleep?
Jeffrey. Well, I've had some very important work to do tonight.
Such as?
Pasting those dollar bills together, if you must know.
You're graduating from kindergarten right now, Fatso. Get your car out.
At this hour?
I'm in Crossroads, California, slaving for the agency, and you can help.
What can I do?
Get all the stuff you can on a guy named Elmer C. Bickle.
Bickle?
Bickle.
No.
Joined the circus years ago, married somebody, left his wife. Check variety.
That'll take all night, Jeffrey.
You've got 1 hour. Oh, another thing, Fatso. Check the theatrical hotels, places where show people, circus people put up. Here's what we need. A line on anybody connected with the Crackley Great Combined...
I can give you that, sweetheart.
What?
You what?
I know where they probably hold in.
Lion, forget that last. But check Bickle. I hung up, and Logan said he'd heard the performers in Crackley Circus usually stayed at the Fossman Hotel in Los Angeles. So I called the Fossman Hotel.
Oh, hello.
The desk clerk sounded wide awake.
Fossman Hotel?
Has Mr. Crackley checked in?
Who's asking?
Regan, private investigator.
Well, we certainly could have used a private investigator this morning.
Why?
Heavens, the circus came in without telling us. Everybody's so upset.
You better make sure they pay in advance.
Oh, well, Mr. Crackley paid everything in advance. He has the finest suite of rooms. But there's such confusion. I just don't know what to do.
You wouldn't. Now, about Crackley.
Oh, I'll ring. But he's probably asleep anyway.
Hello?
Crackley, this is Jeff Regan.
Oh, Regan.
Why did you run away?
I don't know. Well, we had to leave because we were so low on funds that the sheriff's office was going to tax the show. We heard of the order and left town to leave their jurisdiction.
Yeah, sure. Well, your worries are over, Crackley. I've found Bliss for you. Bickle, too.
Oh, no, it's impossible. Well, I mean...
Yeah, I know what you mean. It hit me. The circus was making money. Crackley had paid his hotel bill in advance. Fine suite of rooms. Why, he'd probably been keeping a double set of books, cheating Bliss. I got Logan, got in his car, and drove back to the deserted circus lot. We drove fast. The circus had pulled out in the middle of the night for another reason. And I knew now we'd better look for that reason. The lot was deserted. Low, cold mist over the ground. Gray morning. A small animal moved through the mist like a creature from another world. A small dog. He'd found what we couldn't see. He had something in his mouth. A cap with a red pom-pom on its pointed end. A clown's cap, stained with blood. Logan had men digging within minutes. One of the filled post holes seemed larger than the rest. This was it.
We found him, Mr. Regan.
Yeah. Let me see his face.
Yeah. Kind of muddy.
Still in makeup. Tall, cruel clown.
You know him?
Yeah. You too. Pull the skull cap off.
For Mr.
Bickle, alias Bliss. Long, stringy, yellowish hair like an actor. Only he isn't playing at being dead. Come on, Logan. Keys to your car. I've got an appointment at the Fossman Hotel. I took Logan's car, made the 2-hour trip back to L.A. I phoned the line as soon as I hit town. I got the complete rundown on Bickle. Then I went to the Fossman Hotel. I asked the room clerk for old Crackley's room number. It was 203. I didn't wait to be announced. You should lock your door, Crackley. You could get company you might not enjoy.
Well, I've been waiting for you.
I know why you pulled out of Crossroads so fast last night, Crackley.
But I don't know anything.
I found Bliss.
I'm not interested in Bliss anymore.
And maybe you're interested in Bickle, the tall clown.
Now, please, Mr. Regan.
Bliss joined the circus under his real name, Bickle, to check up on his investment.
The tall clown was Bliss?
Yeah. He was eccentric, but not eccentric enough to throw his money away. But he got more than he bargained for.
No, please, now leave me alone.
He's dead, Crackley.
Dead. Yes, dead.
You pulled out of Crossroads last night because a man was killed and buried there on the lot.
But I didn't kill him.
But you know who did?
No.
I had the lion check on Bickle. It seems he married a Ruth Sandusky in Chicago, April 18th, 1930. Now, Ruth Sandusky was only a kid then, featured in an animal act.
My son George married her in good faith, Mr. Regan. I was against the marriage.
Where's George now?
But I can't tell you.
I left him back in his suite of rooms, checked the front desk for George's room. Was told he lived in his own small trailer. But when he was in town, he always parked it down by the circus warehouse. That's where I headed. The circus warehouse was down by the tracks. It was a raw wood building that had fallen in on its bones. Most of the circus trucks had unloaded. Things were pretty quiet. I got out of the car, walked around. The rear of the warehouse was parked a small trailer, beat up. The one that had forced me off the highway near Crossroads. Inside, I found Ruth. Ruth Sandusky.
Regan.
Married Elmer C. Bickle in Chicago, April 18th, 1930.
You're a real bright eye.
You kind of like being married, don't you, Ruth? So much you get married twice.
Girl needs a man.
With money.
Bickle ran away from me the week we played Chillicothe. The only way I knew he was alive, he used to put crazy ads in the trades every Christmas.
You'll be sitting pretty when old man Crackley dies and George inherits the circus.
Oh, I try not to think of such things.
Bickle joined the circus 3 weeks ago. He recognized you, wanted you again, moved in on George. The thing is, you were still married to Bickle. You kind of overlooked getting a divorce, which meant you weren't legally married to George, meaning you had no future claim on the circus.
You won't tell George. I'll make it worth your while, Mr. Regan.
Trouble is, lady, George saw Bickle, the new clown, moving in on him. And easily, too. You were afraid to hold Bickle off, afraid he might yell bigamy. Real cozy for you, Ruth. Both husbands, clowns in the same act.
You better stop talking, Mr. Regan.
George had to move out of your tent, sleep in his trailer. He was crazy jealous. That's why he tried to finish me by driving me off the road. He thought I was moving in, too.
Stop it while you still got the chance.
Bickle said, come back to me or I yell bigamy, and you killed him.
Stop it!
Only one thing, lady. You didn't know that Bickle and Bliss were the same man.
Bliss?
Yeah, the angel. The guy that was pouring all that money into the circus.
Bickle was Bliss. I'm still married to him, legally.
That's almost right.
Yeah. Yes, it was bigamy. What do I want with George now? As the wife of Bliss or whatever he called himself now, I'll inherit all his dough.
You killed Bliss.
What? Jack, he thinks his son did it. George, you'll go to the gas chamber for me. I'm a bigamist, Mr. Regan, so give me 2 years.
No, you won't get rid of me that easy.
George.
I heard what
Little
you were
George, the sad, bruised clown, stood in the doorway of the small trailer. It was like he didn't see me, only Ruth, his almost wife. But he'd heard
I thought
plenty.
you killed him because he was molesting you. I thought you killed him because you loved me.
Stay away from me, George.
Ruth ran out of the trailer, followed by George. He slammed the door to hold me back. I got the door open just in time to see little George slip into the circus warehouse. I ran after them, fast. Inside the warehouse, it was dim. There was the sharp smell of circus animals. Little George was flexing his muscles for the first time in his life.
I won't let him get you. I'll take you from the gas chamber.
A superhuman strength had come into him. He had Ruth by the hair and was forcing her into an animal cage. The tiger was crouched in the corner of the cage, ready to jump. I grabbed both George and Ruth by the hair and pulled them back. I kicked the cage shut.
Why didn't you let me finish?
Sorry, George. The state will want witnesses when Ruth finishes her act. In the gas chamber. That wound it up. I called Sanducci of homicide. When they came to take Ruth away, I saw little George, the fall guy, standing near his trailer, all alone. 2 hours later, I checked in with the Lion at the office.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Still at the paste pot, Lion?
Oh, yes, my boy. I've just finished pasting the last mill together. The silk threads match perfectly.
Nice, neat job.
Oh, Jeffrey, you just don't know how hard I work for our future.
Uh-huh. Bank should take these all right.
Now, I slaved all right, my boy.
The only thing, money doesn't belong to us.
Yeah, I think I'll just press the bill so the bank will be sure. What?
Money isn't ours.
But Hey, what do you mean?
I got a call from Logan. Says he found your receipt in the Bliss shack. I had to tell him we got the $75 to keep us from taking the case.
Oh.
So the Bliss estate demands its money back.
It's all your fault, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
If you hadn't opened
Well,
up...
I guess I'll just have to keep this 100.
Yeah. Well, what's that you have?
$100 bill. Got 2 more, just like it.
Jeffrey. But who...
Oh, Crackley gave it to me.
Yeah.
He thought his son George had killed Bickle. When we proved it was Ruth, he gave it.
Oh, how could I have ever doubted you, Jeffrey?
Oh, another thing, Lion.
Yes?
Meant to tell you, those bills you pasted together?
No, I worked so hard over them.
Well, the bank would have fitted the bills together for you.
Yes. Oh, no!
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written by William Frug and Gilbert Thomas, directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is transcribed each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, and inviting you to be with us again next Sunday at 8:30 for more suspense and mystery and adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. For the past 18 weeks, a gang of safe men have been breaking into large grocery stores all over the city. They work fast. You can't localize their operations. Your job? Get them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 16th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. It was 7:45 a.m. when I got to the service station on the corner. The phone booth. 2524, please.
2524. Burglary, Rubles.
Hi, Dick. This is Friday. Romero there?
Hold on, Joe.
Thank you.
Hey, Romero, take two. Romero.
This is Friday, Ben.
Yeah, where you been?
Well, my car again. Something's wrong with that distributor. I'm going to leave it at the service station. I'll grab a streetcar down, huh?
Hey, hit again, Joe. This one makes 37 jobs.
Where at this time?
Wilson Brothers Market at Melrose and Green. Drilled the safe and walked out with $462.
Well, our stakeouts are doing a lot of good, aren't they? I'm worn out from last night.
I didn't get any sleep either. Just had time to go home and brush my teeth when this thing broke.
Okay. You said Melrose and Green?
Yeah, that's right. I won't wait for you. I'll go right on out there.
Okay.
Armstrong and Rubel just left.
Right. I can get over there as fast as I can.
Old man was down here bright and early. Things are jumping.
Okay. I'll see you later, huh?
Oh, Joe, just a minute.
Yeah.
Skipper just came in. Who you got on the other end there? Friday. You on your way to Melrose and Green? That's right. The minute you get back, I want to see you two in my office. Right. I guess you heard him.
Yeah, I did.
Guess you could tell from the tone of his voice.
Yeah. Sounds a little upset. How's he look?
Same way.
For 18 weeks, Ben and I had been assigned to this same case. The burglary gang was victimizing only Wilson Brothers markets throughout the city and in surrounding towns adjacent to the city of Los Angeles. Their criminal activities had given them well over $100,000 stolen from these various markets. Additional officers were assigned from the Metropolitan Division, and the case had grown to large proportions. It was 12 minutes past 8 when I arrived at Melrose and Green Streets, the latest Wilson market to be victimized.
Same thing, Joe, just like all the rest.
Yeah. The crime lab find anything?
Been here and gone. They found a few particles of cloth, probably from the guy's gloves, some metal shavings for spectrographical analysis. Same as on all the other jobs.
Well, how'd they gain entry?
Same way, around front. Looks like a tire iron. Pried the door open.
How about the burglar alarm?
No problem. There's a ladder. Climb up and take a look.
Yeah.
See it?
Yeah, I see it. Cut the key leads again, huh?
Nothing's different, Joe. Just exactly the same. All around.
Well, that really tears it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
252 men on stakeout last night, and they know just which market to hit, one that isn't covered.
When you figure Wilson's got over 300 stores, we can't cover them all.
You think we might have some of the luck? We're sure overdue.
Nobody could be this lucky this long.
Well, they're out to break the record. Haven't turned up anything new at all, huh?
Not so far. I've been looking around. Come on.
Yeah. Rubels and Armstrong in the store?
Yeah, they're checking the back of the store, stock room, employees' locker room.
And how much was taken?
Told you on the phone, $462. Some checks, about $200 worth.
Well, this is Wednesday. I suppose the thieves have discontinued the weekend jobs?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Here's the box.
Yeah. Sure a good, clean job. A lot different than those first ones, huh?
Yeah, they've come a long way.
Well, the safe was certainly well lighted, wasn't it?
200-watt bulb up there. Mm-hmm. Still burning when we got here.
Doesn't do much good with all those boxes piled up over there in front of the window, though.
Manager says they weren't there when he closed up last night.
Well, nothing seems to bother them, does it? They move in, don't chance turning out the light. They just pile crates up between themselves and the street, and then they take their time drilling the box.
That's it. Here's the usual empty pop bottles, 3 of them.
Yeah, to cool the bits with, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Friday. Didn't know you were here yet.
Well, hello, Rubels. How are you?
Maybe we got something.
Yeah?
Fished these out of the drain in the bathroom.
What do you got?
Looks like they tried to get rid of them. Some of the checks torn up and this fishing license ripped in two.
Well, could I see those, Dick?
Hey. Charles W. Royal, issued last month.
Good chance he might have carried the license in his pocket and got it mixed up with the checks. First, maybe he was going to take the checks, but changed his mind, tore them up, the license with him.
Well, let's hope you're right, Dick. But it might just belong to some employee here. Well, we've been kind of figuring these jobs might have an inside connection. Maybe this is it, huh?
Let's check it out.
Well, maybe this is the break we've been looking for. We went back to the office and checked the name Charles W. Royal through R&I. No record. We contacted the management of the Wilson Markets. He had been an employee at the store which was just held up. He had been transferred 6 months prior to their Van Nuys branch. In checking back, we found that the Van Nuys Market was one of the first stores to be burglarized. He was placed under surveillance for several days, and during this period, another Wilson Market was burglarized. The officers conducting the surveillance accounted for all of Royal's time during the burglary. He was brought in for questioning and cleared of any complicity in the burglaries. Monday, September 28th, 8 a.m., we met with Captain Wisdom.
The reason for Royal's fishing license being in with those checks was because he left it behind at that store when he was transferred.
That's right. Manager of the store confirmed it. Said he kept it in a safe for him so it wouldn't get lost. Well, that lead went nowhere.
None of them go anywhere. We don't get any leads.
Been no kickbacks on any of our teletypes, APBs, or radiograms. Between Armstrong Rubles and Ben and I, the girls in the stats office think we're on the payroll down there. We're wearing out the cards, having to make runs on the gang's M.O. for us.
How about that last stuff Burton from CII sent down?
Well, we checked all three of them out. Nothing. Boys in the crime lab got a lot of physical evidence if they could make something out of it.
That's just it. You can't make something out of nothing. You haven't got much up there. A few steel shavings off those safes, a couple of broken bits, handful of cotton fuzz they think is off the guy's gloves. You can't work miracles.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think we've overlooked anything, Captain. Every neighborhood in the vicinity of every burglary has been checked and rechecked.
And all you turned up was that one woman?
Yeah, the one that saw the three men out in back of the Wilson Market over on Vermont. She thought they worked there. Didn't know she'd witnessed a burglary when we told her.
Mm-hmm. She couldn't identify any of them, huh?
No, she couldn't.
I just checked with the sheriff's office. These burglaries are driving them crazy, too. No leads.
Boys from the parole office have been trying to give us a hand. We've checked out everything they sent us on dischargees and parolees. Nothing fits.
Well, did the markets seem to be cooperating, holding up their end as they were instructed?
Well, as far as we can tell, right to the letter, yeah. All the safes that were concealed in any way have been moved out in a more conspicuous spot, all well illuminated. The Wilson Company has bought better-made safes to replace the ones that were broken into. They're replacing their old models as fast as they can. Doesn't seem to stop them.
Yeah, all that's according to the book. Doesn't figure with all those precautions they'd be foolish enough to tip off the thieves.
What do you mean?
Well, here, take a look at this.
Yeah.
Larson and Gunn turned this up at that Venice Boulevard job night before last.
Mimeograph stakeout instructions. Huh?
That's right. Put out by the management of the markets. Every time we inform them of a stakeout night, they put these inter-store memos out.
Yeah.
That was for the purpose of informing all the different store managers of the police department's plans so they'd be sure and comply with our instructions.
Yeah.
Motive was okay, but the effects have been causing us more trouble than we know.
Well, weren't these destroyed after the store managers read them?
Apparently not. We'd notify the management of the stores to be staked out a week in advance so that they could quietly let the stores know about it. Whether we wanted the lights left on or turned off to move the safe out of hiding, all the various instructions.
And the management of the market chain just took it on themselves to send out these memoed sheets, huh?
And not only that, in checking the last couple of jobs, either these sheets were in the manager's desks or they were posted in the store someplace.
And all the thieves had to do was go through a desk or check a bulletin board and they knew right where we'd be, huh?
Without this advance information, maybe it'll slow them down. Maybe we can write in on part of the luck. We're due.
Yeah.
Come on over here to the pin map. Here you are, Friday. A red pin for you and one for you, Romero.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in. I got calluses on my thumb from trying to keep up with those thieves.
Yeah. Venice Boulevard and Rockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Vermont and Marathon.
Yeah, just look at them on there. They're going to run us out of pins if we don't blow the whistle on them.
Well, I'm getting a little sick of it myself.
You take a good look at the map here.
Yeah.
All the red pins are these market jobs in and around here and through here.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, Wilson's got stores throughout most of Southern California.
Yeah.
They've hit in and around the metropolitan area, Pomona, Glendale, a couple of times at the beach cities. But look over here.
That's Eagle Rock.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, they're leaving Eagle Rock alone. There's 7 Wilson markets out there, and not one of them have been touched.
Well, maybe they'll hit there next, huh?
And we double-checked all cruiser units out there, told them to be doubly alert. Also to report any suspicious moves around any of the stores. I want to report on any and all cars driving below normal speeds anywhere near those markets. Anything even remotely out of line. There's 7 stores in and around that area. Excuse me. Burglary, Wisdom. The highball. Who's that? They did? Colorado and Bryce. Yeah, right away. Yeah. That was Lieutenant Vaughn, Highland Park. I was wrong. There's only 6 stores in Eagle Rock now.
What do you mean?
They knocked one over last night.
The preliminary investigation of the Wilson Brothers Market in Eagle Rock yielded no additional physical evidence, but it definitely showed that we were dealing with the same gang of thieves. In this last burglary, they got away with $1,852. 1:34 p.m. After 5 hours of continuous checking in the immediate neighborhood of the latest market to be burglarized, Ben and I located a Mrs. Olive Rebard. We felt sure that we'd reached a turning point in the case. Mrs. Rebard had seen 2 of the gang members at work in the Wilson Market at Colorado and Bryce in Eagle Rock. She agreed to come downtown and go through photographs of criminal suspects.
No. Not any of these.
Let's try the next 2 pages.
Certainly are a lot of them, aren't there?
Yes, ma'am. There's still a lot more to go here.
I see it. No. No, none of these.
Well, that finishes this book.
How many does that make that we've been through?
I believe this one makes 15.
Just looking at all those faces makes you wonder, are there any honest people?
Well, these books represent an accumulation of many years, you understand.
You keep pictures of everybody ever been in prison?
Well, within our jurisdiction, yes, and a great many more besides.
I see.
Ben, how about that Folsom book up there for 45 and 46?
Right. I'll put this one back.
Fine. 46, yeah, that's it.
All right, here we are. You ready, Mrs. Rebard?
All right. No. No, I don't believe it's any of these.
All right.
Turn the next page there.
Now, how about these?
No. This one. No. No. That one fellow looked a little like one of them. I thought he did it first.
Which one was that?
This one. No, I was wrong. He looked familiar at first glance.
Well, now, we told you before, Ms. Rebard, if any of these men, their ears, eyes, nose, chin, any part of them looks like any part of the men that you saw, we'd like to know that. We'll have our Sergeant Putoff up in our crime lab drop a composite for you.
You mean you put all the different features together?
Yes, ma'am. If you think it might help in any way. I mean, it'll certainly help us.
I didn't realize that you were that thorough.
Oh, we have to be.
Well, I'm just not that sure about any of their features. It was just like I told you, I didn't get too good a look at them, but I thought I might remember. There's so many pictures here.
Well, would you like to rest a little while, Ms. Rebard? We've been going at this thing for about 2 hours now.
No, that's all right. No, I want to help if I can.
I think I'll open this door a little, Joe.
All right.
Got a little draft in from the hall. Yeah. Gets a little stuffy in here sometimes.
Thank you.
I wonder if you'd like a cold drink of some kind. Coke, something like that?
No, thank you. That's very kind. I don't care for one.
All right. Would you like to go on?
Yes, I think.
All right.
No. Mm-mm. You understand that when I saw these men in the store, I had to look through the front window. They must have been at least 40 feet away from me. I had to shout to be heard.
Yes, ma'am, we understand.
They didn't come over to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't believe that they were really those lightning burglars. Isn't that what the paper called them?
Yes, ma'am.
They were just as big as life. They were standing behind the meat counter. They even had on the butcher's apron. Still hard to believe, because they didn't act like burglars at all.
Sometimes they don't.
Well, the only thing that struck me funny was that anybody be working there on a Sunday. I've seen men in there before. It just didn't seem right that they'd be working there. I wanted to get in to pick up a box of starch. They told me to come back Monday morning when they were open.
Well, if you could have seen over the counter from where you were standing, you would have seen the floor safe right there in the meat department. They were trying to open it.
I never would have known it. You sure you people couldn't have made a mistake?
No, ma'am, I don't think so. We've checked there, and There was no authorized employees in that store yesterday morning.
That's so. Well, must have been them.
Yeah, we're pretty sure it was.
Here, let me help you there, Mrs. Rebar. These pages are stuck together.
Thank you.
There you are.
I've seen so many photographs, they're all beginning to look alike to me.
Mm-hmm. If you'd like to rest a while, that's fine. Maybe you'd like to go home and come back a little later.
You know something?
What's that, ma'am?
I'm positive now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know those men if I saw them.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Once more, what appeared to first be a good lead dissolved into nothing. The stakeouts were continued. Everything possible was being done to apprehend them. The burglaries of the Wilson markets continued. On the night of October 3rd, officers D.B. O'Connell and P.W. Murphy were working a stakeout on one of the Wilson markets in Eagle Rock. At 2:33 a.m., they had observed a gray Ford Coupe, California license 9 Robert 9813, driving at normal speed until reaching the storefront and then slowing down perceptibly, showing unusual interest in the market. Lieutenant Armstrong and Sergeant Rubles checked the license number through DMV. The car was registered to a Clyde R. Bingham, 233 South Carmona Place in Eagle Rock. He was placed under surveillance while we made a thorough check into his background. We located him at the neighborhood bar on Colorado Boulevard. We talked to him for an hour.
So that's it. I'm not your man.
You sure you didn't drive past that Wilson market on Bellevue Avenue?
I didn't say I've never driven by it, but not on the night you said.
Well, have you driven by it on other nights?
I wouldn't remember that. I live out here, and I drive down Bellevue a lot, but I don't know if I've ever been by that market. I suppose I have.
We have your license number and the word of 2 officers who saw you.
I'm afraid they must be mistaken. You have the word of Benny and Walt. You just talked to them. I told you I was here on the night of October 3rd. I stayed here until almost daylight talking to Walt. He closed up at 2, and we sat around and talked.
Where'd you say your car was parked all this time?
Right out in front. Ben Walt told you that, too. I'm telling you, I never left this place the other night.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible you could have forgotten?
Not all 3 of us.
And you didn't loan your car to anybody?
No, sir. I never loaned my car. Stayed right out there in front.
What'd you say you did after this place closed?
As I said, I sat around and talked to Walt. He owns the place.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you talk about?
Oh, I don't know, this and that. I don't recall exactly.
Did you go to work the following day?
Yes, sir, I did.
Seems funny you'd sit up all night talking and then go to work.
I don't have to be to work until I please. You know, I'm my own boss.
Yeah, well, you run your business all by yourself, do you?
No, I have 2 secretaries. They make out checks, keep books.
What kind of business did you say you were in?
Business management. You know, the thing that bothers me is why you're asking me all these questions.
Routine investigation.
Doesn't sound very routine to me. I don't understand.
We're on an assignment. During the course of that assignment, it became necessary to interrogate you.
I still don't understand. Anything else you want to know?
No, sir. I think that pretty well covers it.
Something I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Is there a law against slowing down in front of a market?
Ben and I felt that Bingham was lying for some reason that we were not aware of. All efforts were made to determine that reason. We made a complete search of his residence. His relatives, friends, and associates were interrogated. The 2 men who had alibied for him were checked out. No evidence was obtained to connect him in any way with the Wilson market burglaries. The surveillance was continued on the 3 men. During the next 2 weeks, another market was burglarized. None of the 3 men could have been involved in any way. Another month went by. The burglaries continued unchecked. The newspapers had dubbed them the Lightning Bandits. There was only one exception to the title. By this time, they'd begun to repeat on markets, to hit again where they had burglarized a safe previously. December 3rd, 4 a.m., Ben and I were cruising the central area, the section not covered by stakeout.
I figure there's only one way to beat this thing.
Yeah, what's that?
Ask for a transfer before they offer us one.
Well, seems like every way we turn, we're stopped. No leads, nothing.
Here it is almost Christmas again. Those market thieves started last Easter.
Yeah, I know. Well, we got everything covered again tonight as best we can.
We could just keep all the markets covered at one time.
Well, that's been done a couple of times, you know that.
Yeah, I know that, but keep them covered all the time till we get to them. If we had the manpower, we could do it.
Yeah.
You want to swing in close to the curb? Here's another market.
Yeah. You see anything?
No, nothing on this side. I can't see the safe in there, can you?
No.
Those vegetable counters are partially blocking it. Lights on, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this side's clear, too.
Rear of the store backs up against that other building, doesn't it?
Yeah, only a front and side entrance. You swing around again. Will you make a U?
You see something?
No, I'm not sure. Just pull back up in front again, huh?
All right.
Okay, this is fine. You want to kill your engine?
Mm-hmm.
You hear that?
I'm not sure.
Come on. You hear it now?
No, it stopped.
Come on.
They're throwing vegetables at that front window.
They're trying to draw our attention here. Now, you cover the side. I'll try to force them to you.
Right. There's the news right.
Right, I see it.
All right, hold it right there. Get your hands in the air. I got him, Joe.
You want to shake him down?
Yeah, right. All right, stand still.
Cover him, Joe. I'll see if there's any more besides these two.
Right.
Who tipped you off?
If we'd have had a tip, we'd have gotten you a long time ago.
That's it. Just these two.
Somebody must tip you off. You couldn't be this lucky.
Why not? You've had your share. The two men were taken into custody and were identified as Wilfred Lawson and Thomas Greenfield. A check with R&I showed no previous record on either man. After a short interrogation, Wilfred Lawson admitted his part in all of the burglaries of the Wilson Brothers markets. He steadily refused to give us any information as to the other possible members of the burglary gang. Thomas Greenfield was interrogated. He was the more timid of the two. He claimed that this was the first job he'd been on with Lawson, that he did not know of any other members of the gang, that he'd only served as lookout on this particular burglary, and that he was not deeply involved. In further investigation of the two suspects, Armstrong and Rubel found that they had been seen in the company of still another man. It was impossible to get any kind of lead on the remaining suspect. We took the matter up with Captain Wisdom. It was our combined belief that we should allow Thomas Greenfield to be released on the grounds that we believed his story about his slight part in the crimes. He was placed under close 24-hour surveillance. Thursday, December 6th. 2 days after we released Thomas Greenfield, we were called into Captain Wisdom's office.
Guess we played it the right way in letting Thomas go.
How do you mean?
Well, first of all, we passed one up last October. You remember Bingham? Guy driving slow past the market in Eagle Rock?
Yeah.
Well, he's the one we want. And these two letters, both postmarked today, we picked them up on that mail stop on Lawson.
Where are they from, Thomas?
Yeah, a couple of choice parts. Yeah, listen to this. Client says to tell you he's not sore anymore. Ever since that mix-up, him and Walt and Benny decided this was the best way to play it. He says he don't want no part of what's yours. And then there's a lot more here. It says he'll get an attorney for Lawson, and he thinks he really put one over on us. Anyway, all three of them are in it all the way.
Well, how does Bingham figure in it? We had him under surveillance, didn't we?
You know, listen to this from this other letter. Oh, yeah, here it is. I've been talking with C.B. Clyde Bingham, getting real clever now using initials.
Yeah.
I've been talking with C.B. several times only on the phone. He's really not sore. He only laid out since that time. He figured he might be hot. That's enough, isn't it?
It's all there. It adds.
Okay, you got one to roll on.
Yeah.
Go out and pick him up. This time we'll keep him.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 22nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. All three suspects, Wilfred George Lawson, Clyde Robert Bingham, and Thomas Llewellyn Greenfield, were filed on for burglary in the second degree. Wilfred G. Lawson was filed on for 12 counts, Clyde R. Bingham for 6 counts, Thomas L. Greenfield for 3 counts, sentences to run consecutively. They are now serving their time in the state penitentiary. In view of the fact that the authorities were unable to prove the defendants were armed at the time of the burglaries and the stores were not inhabited, they could only be filed on for burglary in the second degree. Second-degree burglary is punishable by a term of not less than 1 nor more than 15 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to gratefully acknowledge the Michael Award presented by the Academy of Radio and Television Arts and Sciences. The Academy voted Dragnet the finest program of its kind. It is with deep humility that Dragnet accepts this citation, the highest award bestowed by the radio and television industries.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over most NBC stations.
This one's about Pete Kelly. It's about the world he goes around in. It's about the big music, and the big trouble, and the big 20s. So when they ask you, tell them this one's about the blues. Pete Kelly's Blues. Starring Jack Webb, with story by Joe Eisner and music by Dick Kessler.
My name's Pete Kelly. I play cornet. You'll find us at 417 Cherry Street, Kansas City. It's a standard speakeasy. Before Prohibition, the building housed a cleaning and dyeing plant. It hasn't changed much. The vats came in handy. It's still tough to get a clear gin, but a lady likes the idea of a drink to match the color of her dress. The lease is owned by George Lupo. He's a fat, friendly little guy who wouldn't harm a fly. There's no money in harming flies. We start every night about 10 and play till the customers get that first frightening look at each other in the early light. Lupo's working on a scheme to push the dawn back for at least 1 more hour. I don't think he'll make it, but I wouldn't want to risk a buck against him. Well, last night, everything was routine until I saw her again. We were just winding up the third set when she came in, flanked with the same deadpan gunsel. She sat alone at the same table, ordered the same drinks, smoked the same Egyptian deities, gave me that same loving look. The gunsel, as usual, nibbled at his drink at the bar, and his eye playing watchdog for the girl. This was the 5th night, 4 nights running, same girl, same gunsel, same routine. Sit for 5 solid hours, drink, smoke, and work me over with her eyes, reach down deep for a sigh, and leave with deadpan right behind her. Well, I didn't like it. I was beginning to taste salt on my tongue. We went into a finish, and the girl looked once at the gunsel, he nodded, left the bar, and started to the stand. All right. Nick, can you push it a little? It helps when we can hear the beat. All right, don't audition for me. Just do it, huh?
Pete.
Yeah, Red.
That babe's here again.
I know. All right, what do we got up next?
Working up a head of steam, Pete.
Well, she's beginning to make me feel like a wayside shrine.
You.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a request? A number you'd like?
No, I got no request, but the lady, she's got a request.
The lady?
What's the matter? You don't see the lady? How come you don't see the lady when she's looking right at you?
Oh. That lady, yeah, sure, I see the lady.
Well, why do you make like you don't see the lady when all the time you know the lady's looking right at you?
Look, friend, I'm only a poor underpaid employee in this trap. Now, my contract says I'm to play music to please the patrons. I'd be very happy to do anything the lady likes to please the lady.
So, all right.
So what does she want me to do?
So she wants you to have a drink with her.
Sure, that'd be an honor. But I'm afraid that Mr. Lupo, he's my boss, you know. George Lupo, the proprietor, he doesn't like his employees to mingle.
I will talk to Lupo. He'll like it.
Yeah, you could probably make him love it. Come on. I'll be right back, Red. Use some nickels.
Right, Petey. Veda, this is Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, this is Veda Brandt.
Sit down, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, thanks. All right now, Veda? You happy?
I'm getting happier by the minute.
Sure, you want me to go back to the bar?
Sit here, it's more friendly. Hello, Pete.
Hello, Miss Brandt.
Veda.
Veda?
You like my name?
Sure, it's beautiful.
Veda. I only just got it last week.
It'll take a little time to break it in.
Let me hear you say it.
Veda.
Yeah. I like the way you say it. Like you mean it.
Yeah, I do. I never met anything more in my life.
That's because you're sincere. I knew you were sincere the first time I looked at you. Remember the first night I came in? Back here and looked at you.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty busy up there, you know.
Ain't slept a wink since that night.
Well, maybe if you go home and put your mind to it, huh?
No use, Pete. I tried. Nothing's any good. Nothing I can do is going to change it.
Change what?
The way I feel.
Sick?
Yeah.
With what?
With love.
Oh, poor Veda. Yeah, well, beautiful girl like you. No trouble finding another man.
I don't want another man.
You don't want another man.
I want you.
That's what Veda wants, you.
I love you, Pete.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's the way it ought to be. Everybody love everybody else. It's a better world. Well, I got a number to do up.
And you shut up. The lady is trying to tell you how much she loves you, so pay attention.
Yeah.
First time I saw you, Pete, hit me like a dum-dum bullet.
Well, excuse me. I have to earn $1.
Frame it. It's the last one you'll have to earn.
All right. Let's do one. What do you got up?
Still with me again?
All right.
Petey.
Yeah, Red.
That babe, I got the rumble on her from Lupo.
Yeah.
Ever hear of a citizen named Bacalides? The 3 for boy, 3 killings for the price of 2?
All right, Red. Bundle it down, huh?
She belongs to Bacalides. Loser, Petey. Loser.
And you told me what? Now tell me how. Well, let's try one. Let's do it when we meet again. All right, we'll make a slow intro out of the last 8. We'll go back to the top. Nick, you take the first 4 going in. Everybody got it?
Guilty.
All right. Let's try it. Come on, let's all play it, huh? All right, once more.
Nervous, Petey?
No, I'm not nervous. Now, come on, everybody, once more. All right. No break.
Pete, Gunsel's heading this way again.
Yeah, I know. What do we got up next?
Blue, sweet little you and his addiction once killed.
All right. Now, look, friend, I got a job to do.
On it. Let's go.
Where?
Now, you listen, Buster. This ain't a lollipop poking you in the gut. I could drop you and be out of here before you hit the floor.
Yeah. Let's go. Well, Well, we went outside. The Hispano out in front probably wasn't as long as it looked. We've got fairly short blocks in this part of town. Veda took the wheel. She banked low around the corner, pulled out of a half Immelman, gained a little altitude, and flew blind for downtown Kansas City. Veda glanced at me from the corners of charged eyes. Itch just glanced at me. I leaned my head back and closed my eyes. The Hispano whipped down Main Street, lost altitude as we gained the deserted financial district, made a perfect no-point landing at the side entrance of the Grundy Bank and Savings. Well, we went into the bank through the family entrance. One light was burning, and it hung low over the biggest dice table I ever saw in any bank. The stick man was busier than a flea on a fat lady. He called the plays and called the points, and not one of the 50 torpedoes glanced at us as we climbed the short flight to an upstairs office. 2 men were in the room. One, a shadow dressed in dark clothes, looked through a small window onto the dice game down below. The Tommy gun rested easy across his knees. The other man sat behind a desk no bigger than the loading platform at Union Station. He was counting money. Neat, orderly piles of bills were stacked around him like a well-trimmed hedge. We waited while he finished thumbing a book of 50s. He just held them up to his ear, fanned them once, made a note on a pad by his elbow. Finally, he turned his swivel chair to face us. It was all chin and jaw. He leaned back, made a church steeple with his fingers, drew me a credit manager's smile, and rocked his chair gently to and fro.
Well, come in, Mr. Kelly. Sit down. You're among friends.
Yeah, thanks.
Pete, permit me to introduce you to this here gentleman here who's very fond of you.
Sure, everybody loves me tonight.
Oh, he doesn't love you. Only I love you. He's merely very fond of you.
I am Baccalidis.
Yeah.
He's confused. Ain't he cute? Ain't he cute when he's confused?
What confusion?
How much time do you have?
I'm at your disposal.
Look, it runs something like this, Mr. Baccalidis. I play cornet, see? At 417, I mind my own business. I try not to poke a thumb in anybody's eye. Well, I noticed this young lady here sitting out front, and tonight she asked me to have a drink with her. Well, naturally, I'm flattered.
Yes, I know all this, but what is your confusion?
Well, it seems that this young lady here has some kind of an idea that she sort of likes me and...
Loves you, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, well, loves me, like you say. Well, I don't figure myself for no Rudolph Valentino, so I get an idea that it's a rib, and especially since I know how both of you...
Not both. One. Me, I love Veda very much.
Oh, darling, you're sweet.
Yeah, that's right, for a fact. And when Veda thinks it over, I'm sure
There's nothing more to think over, Mr. Kelly. Veda has stopped loving me, all right, I face it. It makes me very unhappy, but I face it. Now she loves you. She wants you. I know how unhappy this can make her. I do not like for Veda to be unhappy, so Veda and me, we talk it over. We decide you will marry Veda.
Thank you, darling. You're sweet.
There's nothing, Veda. You know how I will do anything to make you happy, anything.
All right, now how about doing something to make me a little happy, huh?
But I give you Veda.
Yeah, well, I pass.
You refuse?
Oh, Pete, you don't mean that.
You have made Veda cry. I do not like to see Veda cry. Tell her you do not mean that.
Goodbye, friend. I got a number to do at 417, and it ain't Here Comes the Bride.
Yeah. Pick him up.
On your feet.
You will ask Veda to be your wife.
What's the next best offer?
It's don't hurt him.
I won't.
All right, Itch. I think Mr. Kelly wants to say something.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Huh?
Who am I?
Huh?
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Whiskey. Put him in that chair.
Come on, boy.
Hold his head back. All right, he's fine now.
Yeah. All I need is a few kind words.
I will give them to you. Just repeat after me. Veda, I love you.
Veda, I love you. Veda, I love you.
Oh, Pete.
Will you marry me?
Will you marry me?
Oh, darling, of course I will.
Congratulations. We drink to it. To the happy bride and groom. Long life.
Long life.
Long life.
Yeah.
Now, here's how. Tomorrow afternoon, you and Veda will marry in City Hall. Itch will be best man. Then you go on a nice long honeymoon, drive to Canada in my Hispano, which I give Veda for a wedding present.
Look, I got a job here in town, 417 Cherry.
Go back to that crib. Tell the boss you quit. Tear up your cornet.
I'm loaded, Pete.
Loaded.
All right. Here's a pound of 50s. Tomorrow morning, you buy some clean clothes, top to bottom, inside and out. You will meet Veda at City Hall, 2 o'clock. Here's the key to the Hispano. Take it. Now kiss Veda good night.
Yeah.
Good night, Angel. I'll be the happiest bride in the world.
Sure.
And you'll be the happiest bridegroom.
Yeah, or the saddest stiff. Well, I left the office inside the spin of a top. The Hispano stood by the curb, sleek and calm, just like nothing had happened. Nothing at all. Well, I pointed for the 12th Street Bridge, made the other side of the river, and set a course down Boulder Road for Fat Annie's place. Oh, I tried to imagine life with Veda Brandt. And then I thought of 6 painless ways of committing suicide. I began to feel better. Fat Annie's place was doing a fair business for the lull hours. Maggie Jackson was standing back by the piano. I groped my way to the bar, ordered a bromo and ammonia, and listened.
All right, for the wealthy gentleman from Detroit. He needs me. All right, Ray.
He needs me. He doesn't know it, but he needs me. And so no matter where he goes, though he doesn't care, he knows I'm there. He needs me. I gotta follow where he leads me, or else he'll never know that I need him just as he needs me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulate me, Maggie.
Congratulations. What for?
Let's get back here. I want you to be the first to know. In here.
Pete, who looked you over?
You ever hear of a nail named Veda Brandt?
Veda? Why, she don't weigh hardly enough to beat the white of an egg.
What do you know about her, Maggie?
Nothing much for sure. Only she's back a lady's package, and that makes her a package nobody tampers with. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody but me.
Not if you love life, you don't.
I got her.
Who says?
Back a lady says.
Petey, you all right?
Till tomorrow at 2 o'clock, yeah.
What's that?
When's the wedding?
Who?
Mine and Veda Brandt.
Petey, you've gone simple for sure. You know what Bacalides will do to you?
Look, Maggie, I just left Bacalides and Veda.
He keeps you with her?
Look, that way I'm healthy. If he catches me without her, I'm dead in my socks.
Petey, you're taking those risks too fast. Slow it down a little. Bacalides, he's just crazy about that woman. Remember Albino Artie? He once looked at Veda like Bacalides didn't buy. That was 6 or 7 weeks ago. You seen Albino Artie for the past 6 or 7 weeks? No, nobody has.
Well, hear this. Bacalides orders me to marry Veda at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Now square it for me. Why?
And Veda, what does she say about that?
Only that she loves me.
She said like to Bacalides?
Right to his platinum teeth.
I'm getting that feeling, Petey, like my grandmother used to get.
What's it tell you?
That Veda's preparing herself to be a bride and a widow both in the same day.
Yeah. Well, I better move.
You do that, Pete. Fast and far.
So long, Maggie. I will.
And if I were you, I wouldn't stop moving till I heard him speaking foreign languages.
Well, marry Veda and I'm a dead bridegroom. Don't marry Veda, I'm a dead bachelor. Well, I decided to try to be a live fugitive. I raced the Hispano back across the river, pulled up sharp in front of 417 Cherry. The brakes never made a sound. Lupo was pounding the cash register with both fists. He threw the usual glare at me as I pushed through to the bandstand. Hold it down, huh? Hold it down. Let's do this one real fine, for me. It's my last time around. P? Yeah, Red. You being pushed out? Yeah, it's that or carry it out. All right. Let's do Singing the Blues, huh? Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. That'll do. Now, look, boys. I'm not going to be around for a while. A little business I got to take care of. Well, you'll hear from me, so just keep at it right here until... Red? Yeah, Pete? In the alley, huh? Look, Red, I'm in a jam. What can I do to help you? Thanks, but nothing. I gotta keep moving. Maybe cool off in a couple of weeks, maybe not. Meantime, try to keep the boys together, huh? Sure. Well. So long, Red. Take care of yourself, huh? Need a couple of bucks, Erskine, anything? No, I'm fine. I'll see you. Wasn't easy. I was going to miss the boys. I missed Red already. No, it wasn't easy. But there was only one exit. I drove around to the rooming house, raced up the stairs. All I had to take was a clean shirt, my other suit, and my book of arrangements. I'd hightail it east, just keep rolling till I ran out of road. That was the plan, until I got to my room. She was stretched across my bed, and she looked right at me as I came in. And there she was on my bed, looking right at me, but I was all alone. Now, Veda would never be anybody's widow. She was too dead to say I do. The stocking from her left leg was where no girl's stocking ought to be, knotted tightly around her throat. Well, I tiptoed back to the door as though she was a light sleeper. I closed the door very gently behind me, and then I raced down the 3 flights into the street, into the Hispano, and into high speed. There was no lambing out of this one. You just don't hit the road in a car belonging to the stiff you leave behind. For such violations, the law is strict. Also, Bacalides. Well, I pulled up hard in front of Sour Sammy's joint. This time the brakes cried. Barney Ricketts was sitting at his usual table in his usual state, boiled and loud. Barney's the only ex-bootlegger in the country who went broke in 1922. He says he did that to aggravate a couple of prohibition agents he hated. Well, Barney saw me come in and waved me over to his table.
Ah, Pete Kelly. Welcome, Petey, and have a drink.
Look, Barney, I'm up to my eyes.
Nonsense, Petey. You haven't even opened them yet. Here we are. A drink for you and a drink for me.
Now, listen, Barney, I'm in trouble.
Petey, I have suddenly become oppressed by the state of the world. Well, it's my own fault, Petey, my own fault. I make it a rule never to look at the public prints. But tonight, well, just listen to these few choice items.
Now, look, Barney, right now I'm a moving target for Bacalides' gun.
Last night's edition of the Star. Look here, Petey, September 8, 1923. Girl forced to leap from stranger's automobile. But let us remember, Petey, that the only girls who leap from strangers' automobiles are those who climb into them. And here, look here.
All right, Barney.
California politicians say they are responsible for President Calvin Coolidge's success. Probably insist, Petey, that it's in honor of their state that he's called Cal. And this, Petey...
Barney, look, there's a dead girl in my room.
German Marx quoted at 28 cents per million. So you see, Petey, even a German millionaire is pushed hard to feel like 30 cents.
Now, look, Veda Brandt, Bacalides' girl, she's dead, Barney, in my room.
Well, now, that's most careless of you, Petey.
If I run, it's the law, Barney. If I stand still, it's Bacalides.
How did you get mixed up with Veda Brandt and Bacalides?
I don't know. I'm still in last week's fog. She wanted to marry me. Bacalides said I would or else. Why, Barney? Why if he torched for her?
Very simple problem in human relationships, Petey. Tonight, the word got out that Muggsy Brand was sprung.
Who's Muggsy Brand?
Peter's father. He was sent up last year. Peter's his whole life. He tried to guard her like Lupo guards his cash register. He hates Bacalides, and if he learned that he and Veda...
Yeah, now it's coming into focus.
Sometimes, Petey, you're dull-witted. Dull-witted, but stupid.
So Bacalides and Veda rigged it to disarm her old man. She marries me, takes the heat off Bacalides.
Splendid, Petey, splendid.
And her old man winds up throwing a knife at me. All I gotta do now is explain Veda's body in my room to Muggsy Brand.
Precisely what Bacalides expects you to face.
All right. Glue the rest of it together for me, will you?
Bacalides is married. He could never square himself with Veda. He got in deeper than he wanted to. He couldn't dump her because of Muggsy coming out. So he ties her onto you, gets her up to your room, leaves her dead on your bed.
How do I back out of this one, Barney?
Do you know where to reach Bacalides?
Yeah, at the Grundy Bank.
His dice game?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, go there. See Bacalides, lay it on the line for him. All the way, just like we talked it here.
Well, they'll cut me down.
You might.
How much edge do I have?
Not quite enough to shave with.
But maybe just enough to cut my throat, huh?
It's your only chance, Pete. You're in the middle of a three-way push. The law, Bacalides, Muggsy Brand.
All right, Barney. I'm counting on you on the outside.
Don't worry, Petey. I'll be there with bells on.
Yeah, make sure they don't toll for me. Well, I went back to the Grundy Bank and Savings. I had no trouble getting in. The game was just heating up. I stalled around the dark edges of the table for a minute and laid a few bucks on the field. Upstairs, the light was on in the office. The boy with the big piece was still sitting at the window. I could see the head and shoulders of Baccalides. He was still counting money. I started slowly up the stairs, went into the room without knocking. The muscle man swung sharp, pointing the heater at my stomach. Baccalides, fast for a big man, flung out a hand and knocked the gun out of line.
Hold it. Next time knock, or you pick up a lot of weight.
Yeah, or a silk stocking around my neck?
No, for you a knife. From the fingers of the best shiv man in the country.
Muggsy Brandt?
Don't try to run, Kelly. He likes a moving target. Just go to him. Tell him his daughter is in your bed, a stocking around her throat. Tell him you don't understand any of it. He will be very sympathetic.
Well, that's nice, Mr. Baccalides. You set it up real nice.
It's smart, huh?
Sure. You persuade Veda to buzz it around that I'm number one. Everything fixed for her father's ears. Even get her to help you push her across by going up to my room.
Tell a good story, friend. Maybe too good.
Oh, put that rod down, Baccalides, before you drop it and break your toe.
Maxie, take him downstairs. Come back alone.
Petey, look out! Get down!
Muggsy!
Barney, you all right?
Shell shock.
Muggsy Brandt?
Yes, Pete. I knew where he was. All he heard was Baccalides.
Kelly.
Yeah, Muggsy.
Baccalides. I got him?
He was between the guns. Not much left of him. Or his trigger man.
Or me. Now listen. My poke. Money. Take it. My kid could bury him.
Easy, Muggsy, huh?
She was only a kid. Maybe if she met a guy like...
He's done, Pete.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Pete? A guy like who?
Who knows, Barney? Who knows?
Pete Kelly's Blues, starring Jack Webb, with story by Joe Eisinger and music by Dick Cathcart. Scoring by Matty Matlock. The music of Pete Kelly's Big Seven and Maggie Jackson is now available on phonograph records.
The proceeding was transcribed.
Fatima Cigarettes is proud to present its Academy Award-winning radio program. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A young mother is murdered in bed while her 7-year-old son sleeps by her side. The killer was vicious and cunning. Your job? Get him. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The size is the same. They now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. They're extra mild, with a better flavor and aroma. Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, July 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 11:25 p.m. when we got to 543 West Bixel Street. Front door.
Homicide? That's right. This is Friday. My name's Romero.
Klein, Unit 69.
How are you?
Partner's Thomas. He's in with the victim's mother and son. Back yesterday, sleeping porch.
Okay.
What's the story?
Yeah, really a nasty mess. Looks like a shotgun. Victim's face is half gone.
What's the name?
Josephine Stevens, 28 years old.
What do you got so far?
Not much. Her mother's in a state of shock. Talked to the young boy for a minute. Pretty terrible. Here's the sleeping porch.
Dear God.
Yeah. You got a little kid by her side. It knocks the props out from under you.
What do you got on it?
Seems as Josephine Stevens and her 7-year-old boy was sleeping in the bed when it happened. Haven't been able to fill it all out yet, but from what the youngster told us, it happened about 30 minutes ago.
I'd say it was a shotgun, too, wouldn't you, Joe?
Yeah, looks like it.
You can see by the head of the bed here, it looks like shotgun pellets.
Yeah.
The screen in the door here looks like it was recently torn.
Yeah, Thomas and I noticed that, too. We made an immediate search of the area. Didn't turn up anybody. Backyard, round the side, shrubbery, didn't find anything.
Yeah?
We were careful not to step off onto the soft earth anywhere around. Didn't want a chance destroying any prints or anything.
That's fine.
Did you talk to the girl's mother at all, Klein?
Very little. She's still hysterical. Doesn't seem to know what she's saying. Couldn't tell us very much.
Yeah, well, let's step into the next room, huh?
Well, it was just the way we found it. Nothing out of order. Dresser drawers are all closed. Room hadn't been prowled.
No, it doesn't look like the work of a burglar or a prowler.
Well, a burglar or prowler wouldn't be carrying a shotgun either, would he?
The only thing Thomas and I found were cutting the screen, the gate around the side of the house there. It was open.
Crime lab been called?
Haven't had time to do it right now.
No, never mind. I'll take care of it. I want to call in anyway. Do they have a phone here?
Right in the kitchen there on that table.
Okay, thank you. I figure we could use some help, don't you?
Yeah. They're right there to your left.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
City Hall.
2643, please.
2643? Crime lab, Alan.
This is Friday, Jay.
Yeah, Joe.
We're at 543 West Bixel. Got a homicide. We're going to need prints, photographs, the whole deal, Jay. Looks like the woman was killed with a shotgun.
Let me double check that address, Joe. 543 West Bixel.
Yeah, that's right.
You got a phone out there?
Yeah, it's Hollywood 93199.
We'll get right on it, Joe.
Thanks. Say, Jay, could you transfer me to 2521, please?
Right. Operator? 2521. 2521? Homicide, Sanchez.
Sanchez, this is Friday.
What'd you find out there?
Oh, it's a bad one. Shotgun killing. Haven't got too much yet. We're going to have some help.
What do you need?
We need somebody to cover the area. We don't know what we got yet. Talk to the witnesses, neighbors, cover the parked cars.
Right.
Will you send out a broadcast for us? Alert all units to be on the lookout for a person or persons with a shotgun in their possession.
Take care of it right away. How many men you think you need?
Well, at least 4 crews. Could you get them out right away?
Okay, anything else?
No, I'll fill them in when they get here. Thanks a lot, Sanchez.
Right, Joe.
All right, bye.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Klein says we could talk to the youngster.
You don't think it'd do any good to talk to Mother?
She's still in bad shape. Imagine she'll be all right in a little while, but I think you just wasted time right now.
Well, I forgot something.
What's that?
I forgot to call the coroner.
I'll take care of it for you.
Well, would you take the boy into the front part of the house for us?
Sure.
Fine. Then if you'll just call Sanchez down in homicide downtown, he'll notify the coroner for us.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Joe, you want to see something break your heart?
Yeah, what's that?
Notice the blood on the floor there, leading from the sleeping porch to this bedroom here.
Yeah. Look like small footprints, huh?
They are. Little boys.
Well, let's go in the front room.
Yeah.
This is a boy, 7 years old, name's Charles.
Right. Thanks, Klein.
I'll make that call for you right away, Friday.
Hello, son.
What happened to my mommy?
I'm sorry. You better take it, Joe.
Yeah. Come over here to me, son. Charles, is that your name?
Charlie.
Well, my name's Joe, Charlie.
Yes, sir. Mr. Joe?
Well, it's Joe Friday, son.
Mr. Friday, are you a policeman?
Yeah, that's right, Charlie. Now, that other man in the uniform, Officer Klein,
Yes, sir.
he said you might be able to tell us what happened here. Do you feel like talking about it, son?
Mr. Friday, do you know what happened to my mommy?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, son. We'd just like to ask you a few questions.
She's hurt bad, isn't she? Did she talk to you? She wouldn't talk to me. Grandma and those other policemen wouldn't let me stay in there.
Well, can you tell us what happened here?
You want me to tell you like I told the other policemen?
If you would, please.
I wish you'd let me go in and see Mommy. She could tell you a lot better than I can.
Well, she's hurt kind of bad, son. We just thought that maybe you'd tell us.
Well, we were sleeping in the bed on the back porch.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to bed, and Mommy was reading me a story. Then I heard this man at the screen door.
Did you see the man, Charlie?
No, I didn't. Mommy wouldn't let me.
Well, how do you mean, son? How do you know it was a man, then?
Somebody was cutting the screen at the door. I thought it was a man.
But you're not sure you didn't see him?
No, sir, I didn't see anybody. It was dark outside.
You heard somebody cutting the screen, though, is that right?
Yes, sir. Then Mommy sat up in bed. I started to sit up, too, but she wouldn't let me. She pushed me back down and said, keep down.
Mm-hmm. Can you remember exactly what she said, Charlie?
She said just to keep down. That's all she said.
Well, then what happened?
I heard this big gun, and Mommy fell down on the bed again. I could tell she was cut. I could see blood all over her.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't talk to me. So then I went to get Grandma.
Now, after you heard the gun, did you hear anything else?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, did you hear anybody running outside the house? Anything like that?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I got up and went into Grandma's room. I was awful scared. I don't know why Mommy wouldn't talk to me. She always used to when I was scared.
Well, now, can you think of anything else that you might be able to tell us, son?
No, sir. I just don't know why anybody would hurt my Mommy. She's so good. She never hurts anybody.
Where's your father, Charlie?
I don't know where he is. They don't live together anymore now.
Mm-hmm. How long has it been since you saw your father, son?
Just last Sunday it was. Yesterday, I guess. I see him every Sunday.
Well, do you have any idea who might want to hurt your mother?
No, sir. Nobody.
All right. What do you think, Ben?
Charlie.
Yes, sir?
Did your mother and father seem to argue with one another very much?
Before we moved here to Grandma's house, they used to argue all the time. That's when we lived in the apartment.
Is that why you moved over here, son?
Yes, sir, that's partly it. Mama had to work, and she didn't want to leave me alone here, so we moved over to Grandma's house.
Mm-hmm. Do you think your father would ever hurt your mother? Did he ever say anything about ever hurting her?
My daddy was always so good to me. He used to buy me all kinds of things. I don't think he was ever mean to anybody.
See? Do you remember your mother ever saying she was afraid of anybody?
No, sir. She was never afraid of anybody.
How do you know that, son?
She and Grandma used to always tell me that I'm the man of the family. As long as I'm around, they're not scared of anybody.
Oh, I see.
But when you talk to Mama, you won't tell her, will you?
Tell her what, son?
She always says that big men don't cry about things. When Grandma came out on the porch, she started to cry, and she took me into her room, and she cried some more. I guess I cried a lot, too. When you talk to Mommy, you won't tell her that, will you?
No, we won't.
I've never really known. Is that right? Do big men ever cry?
Yes, son. They cry.
.45 p.m. The crime lab men arrived and went to work. They found 3 shotgun pellets embedded in the wall to the right and above the head of the victim's bed. 2 additional lead pellets were removed from the bedstead above the pillow on the right side of Josephine Stevens' bed. This fact, in conjunction with the position of the hole ripped in the screen door, proved that the victim was sitting up in bed at the time of the shooting. This fact, too, showed why the 7-year-old boy lived and his mother died. Further investigation showed that the fatal shot was fired from outside through the hole in the screen door. The search of the surrounding area failed to yield the murder weapon or any additional physical evidence. The neighbors were all checked. They could add nothing to what we already knew. The few who had heard the blast from the shotgun thought it was backfire from a passing car. Units in the area of the murder picked up 14 possible suspects on the street and in the neighborhood at the time of the killing. They were all checked out and cleared of any connection with the crime. Josephine Stevens' mother, Mrs. James Edwards, was in a near state of collapse, but she managed to give us a statement. Her story corroborated that of 7-year-old Charles Stevens. Supplemental broadcasts and an all-points bulletin were put out to try and locate the killer. Ben and I drove over to 1543 East Workman Street to check out the husband of the murdered woman. Well, this is it, huh?
Yeah, White House here.
All right, let's go.
car parked in the driveway.
Yeah. The hood's warm. Car's been used recently.
Yeah, you got your flashlight?
Yeah, here.
All right. The car's registered to Keith Stevens.
Yeah, come on. Lights are on inside, huh?
Yeah.
Yes?
Mr. Keith Stevens.
Yes, that's right.
Police officers like to talk to you.
Want to come in?
Yes, sir, thank you.
What's the trouble, officer?
When's the last time you saw your wife, Stevens?
Why?
Well, when did you see her last?
Well, I was over there Sunday, yesterday. Always go over every Sunday to visit my little boy, Charlie. My wife and I are separated. That's what we agreed on.
And that's the last time that you saw her?
Yes, it is. Why?
Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. Your wife is dead.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
You're kidding. She was all right yesterday. There must be some mistake here.
No, sir, I'm afraid not.
Josephine Stevens. You sure?
543 West Bexel Street.
I gotta sit down. What happened?
She was shot.
Well, how? I can't believe this.
Well, we're working on it now. Somebody shot her while she was in bed.
I just saw her yesterday. How did it happen? Was it an accident?
No, sir. Somebody killed her.
How about little Charlie? He sleeps with his mother. Is Charlie all right?
Yes, sir. He's fine. He wasn't hurt at all. It was a small miracle how he came out of it, but apparently his safety was the last thing your wife thought of before she was killed.
It's just terrible. I still can't believe what you're saying is true. Who in the world would do a thing like this?
We want to know that, too. We need your help.
Well, where's my boy? I better go right over and see my boy.
He's in good hands with his grandmother. We just want to ask you a few questions, and then you can go right over and see him.
All right. You gotta get whoever did this terrible thing.
Yes, sir. We're going to try.
Now, how is it that you happen to be up this late at night?
I just got home from work. I work the swing shift at Gibney's.
That's the steel mill down in Alameda, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Did you work today?
Yes, I told you. I just this minute got in.
Swing shift. What hours would that be?
4 to 12.
Did you work the full shift today?
I did. You don't think I would have done this thing?
Well, we have to check everybody.
Is there somebody out at the plant that can verify the fact that you were out there during the entire shift today?
Yes, my lead man and I always punch my time card in and out.
How do you get to work?
I drive. My car's right outside there, blue Chevy.
Do you own any firearms?
No, I don't.
You ever owned any?
No, never have. Didn't want a gun around with a boy.
That's it.
You live here alone?
No, since the wife and I split up, I live with another fella here.
Mm-hmm. Where is he tonight?
He's out somewhere, usually home when I get here.
Do you have any idea where he might be? Does he go out much?
He goes out quite a bit. He's going with some girl. Might be at a movie or something like that.
Does he know your wife?
Well, not too well, no. I think I took him over to the house one Sunday. He met my son Charlie and my wife.
Try to take it easy, Mr. Stevens.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to take.
Yes, sir, we understand.
This man that you live with here, what's his name?
Carl Walters.
Where'd you know him from?
He advertised in the papers. He said he wanted somebody to share a small house with him. I answered the ad, and we seemed to hit it right off from the start. He's okay.
What do you know about him?
I know enough to know he's all right. I wouldn't want to get him mixed up in this.
Well, has this Walters ever been in trouble? Has he ever been arrested?
Not that I know of. He's a good guy. Fine Army record.
I see. Have you ever been arrested?
No, sir, I never have.
Any kind of an arrest? Misdemeanor, anything like that?
Never.
You never been in jail for any reason?
No, sir, never have. I had traffic tickets, but I've never been in jail for any reason. I always paid my fines, never had any trouble.
Have you any idea who might want to do a thing like this?
No, no one. How did it happen? Did they break in the house?
No, it wasn't burglary or anything like that. Somebody just wanted to do away with your wife. If you can think of anybody who might do a thing like this, it'd help.
You know, we've been separated for a while. Maybe she took up with someone who'd do something like this. I wouldn't know. I can't think of anybody I know that'd do this.
I see.
She and I have had our ups and downs, or we wouldn't be apart. We've argued time and again over the custody of Charlie, but nothing serious. Can't tell you what a shock this was to me.
You say that you don't own a gun. Do you know of any of your friends or hers that might?
No, I can't think of anybody.
Well, this fella, Carl Walters, what can you tell us about him?
Now, please, he's all right. He certainly had nothing to do with this.
Well, we just want to be sure to check everybody out. If you can tell us, it may save him some embarrassment.
Well, I realize you have to be sure, but please believe me, he's all right.
You say he doesn't know your wife at all?
No, just that one meeting.
You're sure he couldn't have had any part in it?
Absolutely sure.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a fella is he?
Oh, average guy, I guess. Likes to swim, plays a little golf. Always wants me to go out camping or hunting with him.
You ever go with him?
No, I haven't so far. He wants to go on weekends, and I like to see my son on Sundays, like I said.
What does he hunt, do you know?
He's not much of a hunter, really. He just likes to go out for ducks once in a while.
Does he keep his equipment here?
No, he doesn't, over at his father's house.
Does he ever hunt for anything besides duck?
No, I'm positive about that. He's always saying how he never could shoot a deer. Says he get buck fever. Can't say I blame him.
He ever tell you what kind of a gun he had?
No, not that I recall. Still think he had a part in this?
We didn't say that.
What's his duck hunting got to do with it?
Well, when you hunt ducks, you use a shotgun.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. And now, let's look at our Fatima files, listed under K.
Kelly, Nancy Kelly, famous actress. She says,
Between scenes, I like to relax in my dressing room and light up a Fatima. They have a really different flavor, and they're extra mild.
Friends, more smokers now insist on king-size Fatimas than ever before, because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So, if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Smoke the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Tuesday morning, July 10th, 1 a.m. We continued to question Keith Stevens about the murder of his wife. He could add very little to what he had already told us. We made a thorough search of his house and garage. We searched his car. We found nothing that would incriminate him in any way. 1:37 a.m. Carl Walters, the man who Keith Stevens lived with, returned home. We retraced his steps for the night of July 9th. All his time was accurately accounted for. We talked with his father. We were told that the shotgun had not been used for about 10 months, since last duck season. We looked at the gun and noticed that it was covered with lint and had not been recently fired. We talked to the plant foreman at Gibney Steel Mill. He verified the fact that Keith Stevens worked his full shift on July 9th and did not leave his job until 12 midnight. At this point, both men were clear of any complicity in the murder of Josephine Stevens. Tuesday, July 10th, 8 a.m. We made the usual routine check of R&I of the 4 people involved in the case so far. Josephine Stevens, the murdered woman, her mother, Mrs. James Edwards, the husband, Keith Stevens, and his friend, Carl Walters.
Here it is, Joe. One package.
Nothing on Josephine Stevens or Miss Edwards.
That's right. And Carl Walters is clean. He kind of makes a liar out of the husband, Keith Stevens. It's his package.
Yeah, I forgot.
Let's see. Keith Stevens. Here's the arrest report, one only.
Let's see, it's 4127A.
Yeah, picked up from drunk charge. He didn't forget, Joe. This was on June 7th last.
Yeah, let me look at that officer statement, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Above suspect was picked up in the company of co-defendant Michael Duff, booking number 8023. Both suspects were drunk and disorderly at time of arrest. Their condition was such they were unable to care for themselves. No, he didn't forget.
Hey, Mary.
Yes, sir?
Pull this package for us, will you, please? Booking number 8023. Give us a mug if he's got one, huh?
What was that arrest date?
June 7th, 51.
Thank you.
That's an outside chance.
He lied once. Maybe he'll lie again.
What do you suppose he was trying to prove by not telling us about this?
Oh.
Here you are.
Well, thank you, Mary.
That's a little bigger package, huh?
Yeah. Look, his R card. He's done time in Quentin.
Yeah. 1933, Grand Theft Auto. Did 4.5 years. Paroled out in 37. Here he is, back in again on suspicion of robbery. 1946, charge released. Picked up again, suspicion of robbery, released again.
Michael Lewis Duff, alias Mickey Duff. Stevens is moving in pretty fast company.
Yeah. Look here, this is the guy, all right. Here's that last drunk arrest. See on we saw on Stevens, June 7th?
Yeah, Is there a mug there, Joe?
Let's see. Well, there's this one on that 211 arrest in 47.
Yeah, I see that one. It's pretty old, though. It's a little worn. Kind of hard to see.
So check that last arrest report on the drunk charge. Maybe we got one of those auto photo strips. That ought to do it.
I hope so.
Yeah, here we are.
Let's see. Yeah, those auto photos are good mugs, aren't they?
Yeah.
What address did he give on that last arrest?
5234 West Main. No, all these other addresses are just transient hotels. That Main Street address, the most recent, looks like the best bet.
This is probably why Stevens lied about being arrested.
Yeah, let's see if he lied about anything else. We drove over to 5234 West Main Street. It was a small 2-story rooming house. We checked with the landlady, and she told us that she had a man registered under the name of Michael Duff in room 20. She told us that he had just walked out a few minutes before we arrived, saying he was going down to the corner to buy a newspaper. We identified ourselves and stated that we'd wait in his room for him. We asked her not to tell him. She went upstairs with us and unlocked the door to room 20. We made a thorough search of his place. It was a 2-room apartment. I searched the living room, and Ben went over the kitchen.
Joe, come here.
Yeah.
Look here. Look, I'm up under the sink here, cradled in the gooseneck of the drain.
Yeah, shotgun.
Yep. Just a minute. It's been fired recently.
No.
And this much fits in.
These don't. Found him in the pocket of one of his coats in the closet there.
12-gauge shotgun shells. Where'd you find them?
In the pocket of a dress suit? That doesn't fit, does it?
Not unless he's the best-dressed hunter in town.
Sounds like he's back.
Yeah. Get your hand out of that pocket, police officers.
What's going on?
Keep your hands out and open. Stand still. Here, Joe. You want to take this?
Yeah. What are you doing carrying a gun, Duff?
Anything wrong?
You know better than that. What'd they tell you when they paroled you?
That was a long time ago.
They haven't changed the rules.
I don't know what you're doing here in the first place.
Go on over there and sit down.
All right, if that's what you want.
That's what we want. Move.
Right now, do you want to tell us about it?
About the gun?
About both of them. The shotgun here on the table and this one I got in my hand.
Well, you found that old shotgun.
We found it.
I haven't used that old thing for years. Just kept it as a keepsake. Haven't fired it for a long time. Don't even have any shells for it anymore.
Except these two, huh?
I don't know where those came from.
Look, Duff, you're an ex-convict. We find 2 guns in your possession. Now, let's don't play games. Tell us about it.
I haven't got anything to tell you. I would if I did.
I just had a long talk with Keith Stevens.
What'd he have to say?
Never mind what he had to say. Let's hear your side of it.
You wouldn't try to kid me, would you?
Now, you listen, fella. We just came from a house over on Bexell Street. There's a woman lying in bed over there that took a blast from a sawed-off shotgun. You own a shotgun. It's been recently fired. You lied. You said you hadn't fired it. You said you didn't have any shells for it. Well, here they are. Now, look, they fit, don't they? Take a good look at it, mister. There's only one thing missing. Who pulled the trigger?
Let's have it, Duff.
Did Stevens tell you?
We'll ask the questions. Now, come on.
All right. I did it, but I did it for Stevens. He told me he'd give me $1,000 if I kill his wife for him. I haven't been paid yet. I'm still waiting to get paid off.
You won't have to wait any longer.
We took Michael Duff downtown together with a murder weapon. He gave us a full confession stating that Keith Stevens had offered to pay him $1,000 for the murder of his wife. He said that he and Stevens had planned it together. 1:30 p.m., Tuesday, July 10th. We drove out to pick up Keith Stevens.
What else could I do?
Is that how you justify the murder of your wife?
It was her fault. If she'd have just tried to be reasonable, this never would have happened.
People settle these kind of problems every day, and they don't use a shotgun.
You wouldn't understand. Unless you got a son, you'd never really understand why I did it.
I've got a son. I don't understand.
And you don't love him like I do. Couldn't stand the thought of never seeing him, having her take him away from me.
And that's the way you want us to put it down. That you didn't want your child taken away from you, so you killed his mother.
Not exactly. She was going to take him away. She wanted him to forget all about me. She wanted him off for herself.
Did your wife tell you all this?
No, of course not. Any fool could see that's what she had in mind.
You mean just because of some argument that you and your wife had, you just assumed all this to be so?
Sure. I knew she'd never give me a break with Charlie. Isn't that what always happens?
And you never asked her how she felt? Never thought that you could stand on your legal rights? Never knew that what you're trying to make us believe seldom happens unless there's a good reason for it?
I wasn't going to let her take my son away from me. Nobody could do that.
Yes, sir, you're right. You lost him yourself.
The story you just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 84, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I'd like you to be the judge while I present our case for Fatima. Now, you've heard me say that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. Get a pack of Fatimas and compare them with any other long cigarette. Side by side, I'll admit a Fatima looks the same as any other king-size cigarette. But when you smoke them, you'll find a world of difference. In Fatima, that difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Keith Edward Stevens was convicted of murder in the first degree and received a life sentence. He is now serving his time in the state penitentiary. Michael Lewis Duff was convicted of first-degree murder and received the death sentence. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary.
Dragnet wishes to thank Sheriff Brian Clemens of the parish of East Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, for the appointment of Sergeant Joe Friday and Sergeant Ben Romero as honorary deputy sheriffs. Our sincere thanks to Sheriff Clemens.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over most NBC stations.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. A United States Postal Inspector comes to your office. You've received the same complaints he has. Somebody is stealing mail in your city. Your job, help get him.
Friends, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette. You'll find a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties. Extra mild, superbly blended. To give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed. To bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, March 3rd. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Harry Elliott. My name's Friday. It was 7:45 a.m. when I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe. Hi, Ben.
Sure coming down out there.
Yeah.
Look at this coat. It's soaking wet.
Is that the same trench coat, that English one?
Yeah. Ever since I had it cleaned, it seems to soak up the water a little more.
Does it leak?
Oh, no, it just seems to take on a little more water. Keeps me dry.
Got something to show you, Joe.
Yeah?
Remember that old raincoat of mine used to leak up through the seams over the shoulders?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Take a look at this.
What do you got there?
Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, what is it?
A new raincoat. Never know, would you? Small, compact, the whole thing's hardly any bigger than a pack of cigarettes. Not bad, huh?
Yeah. Where'd you get it?
Wife bought it for me. Amy says it's a regular full-size raincoat, size 40 long.
Amy says, so didn't you try it on?
Oh, no, you know how they make something like this. It's made out of plastic, size isn't too important. Just a plain coat. Slips right on over your suit just like any other raincoat. I know it'll fit.
You haven't worn it yet, huh?
No, it hadn't started to rain when I left home.
Could I see that?
Sure. Real compact, isn't it? Now, something like this is really practical.
Yeah,
Little packages like that you carry it around with you all the time. Never take up any room at all.
Yeah. What's it look like?
Just like that little pouch there. Same stuff. It's transparent, you know, regular plastic.
Well, could we look at it inside?
Okay, let's see.
Well, here, you better do it.
Yeah, okay. Well, just unzip it here. Sure is compact, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Look there, Joe. All folded up nice and neat.
Yeah.
Sure is lightweight, too. Plastic's great, isn't it?
Fine, yeah.
There we go. Full-size raincoat. See there? Fits fine. Never know a full-size coat would go in a thing like that little pouch there, would you? It's no bigger than a tobacco pouch.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You ought to try it on, Joe. Never know you had anything on. Sure is light and nice.
Yeah, I can see.
Now we just put it back in the pouch till I'm ready for it. Let's see now. Collar goes up. One folds in like this. No, that isn't right. Goes this way. Let's put it down on the table. That'll be better. Yeah, that's better. Now, here we go. Now we fold the arms in here. Now the bottom part comes up this way. Now we fold it over and again. Easy, isn't it? Just follow the crease marks and you're home, Joe.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll hand me that little pouch, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Oh, thank you. Now, no, I guess that's too big. Well, we'll make one more fold, guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's small enough this way, but it's too fat, isn't it?
You better watch it there. You're going to tear that little sack.
That's funny. I folded right over the old creases there. Too fat, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, couldn't you just carry it in your pocket like that without the pouch?
Sure, that's it. Slip it in my coat pocket. No, that won't do, Joe. It bulges right out. It's kind of springy. It jumps out, just like a piece of pongee silk.
Yeah, it seems to.
Well, it's still lightweight and easy to handle.
Sure. Plenty easy to carry just like that, anyway.
Yeah. Well-made little pouch there. Seems a shame not to be able to use it.
You smoke a pipe?
No, you know that. Just cigarette. Yeah, I'll find some use for it. Probably 100 things a fellow could use a little pouch like this for if he could just think of them right off.
Yeah, that's right.
Riley, Romero, you want to step in here for a minute?
Right, Captain.
You fellows know Inspector Smith, Post Office Department?
Sure, how are you?
Romero?
Good to see you, Leo.
How you doing, Joe? Sit down, won't you?
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Inspector Smith's over here on that mail thief case that we've been working on.
Oh, yeah. Did you receive those reports we sent over to you yesterday?
No, I haven't been to the office yet. Came straight over here.
Well, Burglar turned it over to us yesterday afternoon. Ben and I ran it down. Seems to us like it might fit in somewhere here.
Miller and Ashton have probably got your reports now. I was just going to call in. You mind filling me in on it?
Apartment house over on Alvarado. Landlady reported a theft of part of a mailbox out there.
Yeah, somebody stole a master panel off the front of the community mailbox at the apartment house. Figure it must have happened sometime during the night.
Oh, yeah, I believe we got something on that, too. A postman on the route reported it.
That's how he's getting into the mailboxes. Steals the front panel, makes a key for himself, and then on, he's in business. Smart guy like we're after could put a key like that to good use. It'd fit a great many different mailboxes around town.
Yeah, it's the same M.O. We've been on this guy for a long time. He pulled the same thing down in San Diego, was knocking down about $2,000 a month. Then he laid out. Now he's at it again up here in L.A.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you know, we've been getting reports of the thefts and the passing of the checks about 10 days ago.
Yeah, I know.
We've got 5 checks passed by this same thief according to handwriting analysis. We know it's the same guy.
Talked to the victims and the bank tellers. Description of the guy seems to tally with what you people have on him.
Yeah.
There's just one thing we haven't been able to piece out yet.
What's that, Joe?
When he steals a check, how does he know what bank to pass it on?
Well, I think we got the answer to that one.
Well, let's say that he Steals a letter, and we know he doesn't only hit the community mailboxes. Sometimes he goes to a private residence, fishes the letters right out of the mail slots in that case.
Yeah, he's got some kind of a gimmick he gets down in those slots with.
Yeah, that's what we figure, Leo. But we'll say after he's got a letter with a check in it. Now, it's easy enough for a good forger to put an endorsement on it, but how does he know what branch of the bank to pass it on?
Well, at some time or other, he's stealing bank statements as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he's just lucky. At the time he steals a check, there's other mail in the box, too. The victim's bank statements.
Well, as far as that goes, I suppose he's stolen more than once from the same party. He could probably get away with bank statements easy.
Well, that's it. People never seem to report anything missing in the mails until weeks after it's happened.
It's easy to see why. They're not sure anything's wrong until they wait several days. They don't want to bother us in the case of anything routine like monthly bank statements.
And in the case of a check, well, sometimes it's from a relative or someone who owes them money, and they don't want to embarrass them by writing or calling to find out about it.
And I suppose in the case of anything like a dividend check, we got a couple of those, Leo.
Mm-hmm.
The people who lose them just don't think it's time for them to arrive yet, so they just wait, huh?
That's it. And that's why it's been so successful. Plus the fact that it takes about a week for any kind of check to be processed through central clearing at any bank, and then, too, the bank wouldn't necessarily know that anything was wrong at that time.
Until the bank receives a complaint from the party who missed the check, they couldn't have any way of knowing that anything was wrong.
That's right.
Tell them what you were telling me this morning, Leo.
Well, you people aren't in it deep enough to know this yet, but this guy's been hitting the same branch bank maybe 2-3 times in a row.
Not here in L.A., had he?
No, not yet. It looks to us like he's just started up his operations here in town. That's the way he worked it down in San Diego.
Well, it's easy enough to figure. If he got a teller in some bank to go along with him, someone who didn't suspect him, and since the victims reported so late, he could get away with it at least that many times at the same bank, couldn't he?
Yeah. If people report missing mail immediately, it'd make it a lot tougher for the thief.
That last name on him still good, Harvey Fletcher?
That's what we're going on, yeah.
We've got bulletins out to all the banks carrying that description on him, and he changed earlier.
WMA, average build, 150, 160 pounds, gray eyes, about 32 to 35, well-dressed, carries a briefcase. Likeable personality.
That's what we got on him.
Oh, there's a little something we picked up yesterday from a bank teller. She told us the man had long sideburns, for what it's worth. You might add that.
Okay.
Don Myers in handwriting has checked through his files, Leo. They haven't got anything on him. And the stats office hasn't been able to make him on his M.O.
And we know you people are doing everything you can for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish we could do more.
That name, Harvey Fletcher, of the 5 checks that we've got on the guy, according to handwriting analysis on him, he's only used that name once. The rest of the time, he signs the same last name as the payee's name on the face of the check.
He passes himself off as a brother, husband, or some relation to the rightful payee.
Yeah, that's what's taking in all those bank tellers, plus a smooth personality. He's cool, collected, all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, that figures.
Yeah, we got one day before yesterday with a little different twist. Isn't going to help us any, but here's the way he's working it in some cases. He deposits a large check to the victim's account, then he only takes out a small portion in cash. Throws the tellers off even more.
Here's those photostats, Leo.
What's this?
Copy to the last 5 checks that we got on the guy.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Harry.
Myers says they're all in the same handwriting. Is there anything else we can do for you, Leo? We've got all the banks in the area covered, got bulletins out on them.
Well, that's fine.
Don't think we've overlooked anything. Patrol units have been alerted.
With this latest theft of that mailbox panel, it's too bad we can't localize his operations a little.
Leo, didn't you say that if he makes a key, that key would fit any number of boxes in the city? We couldn't pin him down to one neighborhood, could we?
That's right. That key will work on different mail routes. He probably knows the neighborhood around Alvarado is hot now. He'll leave it alone anyway.
It's impossible to stake him out on the actual thefts of the mail. It's too bad we can't get to him through one of the banks when he cashes them.
Well, your manpower and ours put together couldn't cover all the banks in L.A. at one time, but we've been spot checking throughout the city, hoping maybe to tab him just by luck.
We might get a break from one of our bulletins, maybe some tellers found.
Well, I'm not sure yet. That's one of the reasons I came over here this morning, but maybe we've got a little something.
What's that?
Well, a bank out in Westwood phoned us yesterday. The teller thought she recognized the guy from his description. Didn't dawn on her till after the guy left her window. She rushed out in time to get the license number of his car.
Well, maybe it's a break, huh?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. The check was drawn on the account of a William E. Scott. And that's the number 2 victim here in L.A.
Yeah, that's right. You got the photostat of his checks right there.
Yeah, I know. Well, everything seems to fit. This check he passed yesterday out in Westwood was probably stolen at the same time as the first one, or at least it came from this Scott's mailbox. That we know.
Well, didn't this William Scott report the theft of 2 checks? I know he didn't to us. Maybe he did to you.
No, he didn't.
Said he couldn't be sure. He gets quite a few checks through the mail. Owns a lot of stock, gets dividends.
Yeah, probably doesn't know when they come each month.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't miss the first one until it was way overdue. Might even be others missing. He doesn't know for sure yet.
Well, anyway, he's positive on this latest one out in Westwood that the bank teller caught, huh?
Sure. As soon as the bank manager called him, he knew he hadn't authorized anybody to cash any of his checks.
Does the M.O. seem to match?
Well, that's what's got us going on it. Looks real good. Smooth operator. Deposited part of the money, took the balance in cash. The major switch in his operation was the fact that he didn't go to the victim's regular bank as he did on that first check.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
And we kind of think so. That's the reason I came over here this morning. Conway, our handwriting man, thinks it's the same as the guy we're after. He asked me to check it through Don Myers to be sure.
What signature did you use on this last one?
Now, that's another part of the M.O. that checks out. You remember on the first check, he forged the victim's name, William Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Then he made it a second-party check by signing the phony name, George Scott, passing himself off as a nephew of the victim.
Pretty smart. He goes to this victim's regular bank, and he doesn't take the chance of being tabbed as the payee. He covers by using that nephew gimmick. Huh?
Yeah. This time he goes to a different branch. Not the regular branch that the victim deals with as in the first case. He simply forges the victim's name and lets it go at that.
You doing anything in that license number?
Well, Ashton and Miller checked it out late yesterday afternoon. They're on it now.
Need any help?
Well, not so far. I'm interested in what Don Myers has to say about the handwriting. He ought to be through about now, huh?
I'll give him a call.
Well, thanks, Harry.
Hello, Don. Who's this? This is Elliot. You know if Don's checked that stuff through for Inspector Smith yet? Okay, thanks, Lon. No, that's all right. We'll get through. Don was called out of the office for a minute. That was Sloan. He says he's sure Don's finished with it.
Oh, fine. You say when he'll be back?
He just ducked down to Thad Brown's office for a minute. I'll call down there for you.
Well, that's all right. I'll walk down there myself. I need the exercise.
Okay.
Go on, I'll walk on down with you.
Oh, swell. Let's go.
All right. You fellas will be back here once.
Well, sure, as soon as I check with Myers.
All right.
Which way is it from here? This hall looks the same from one end to the other to me.
It's this way, Leo.
Oh, okay.
This affects you like the federal building does me. I get all turned around up there.
Yeah. Well, those fellas down in San Diego had a rough go on this thing.
Yeah, I was talking to McGuire and Ormsby down there just the other day. They said they were going around in circles on it.
We broke a lot of ground for us. Checked out a lot of suspects, cleared them. Checked out all that stuff that Brereton from CII sent down.
Yeah.
You know how thorough that guy is.
It figures they've done a lot of legwork.
Friday, you say you just talked to him down there?
Yeah, that's right, Leo.
Well, then you know about all those bulletins they got on the guy. Description, exemplars of his handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Sent them to every police department in the United States.
It's a big job.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go get Don. It's right in here.
Thanks, Joe.
Right. Don?
Yeah, Joe.
Leo Smith from the post office department's waiting to see you.
Right, Joe. Just on my way back to the office.
Fine.
Hello, Don.
Sorry, Leo. I had ducked out for a minute.
Oh, that's all right. Say, did you get a chance to look that Scott check over?
Yeah, I did. Got a couple of things to show you back in the office.
Okay, fine.
Was Conway positive on this one?
Well, he said he felt we had the right man, but he wanted your opinion to be absolutely sure.
I couldn't be positive, but I think maybe he's your man. There's a great similarity, but too much pressure on the downstrokes. Ye's, yo's. Just not too sure. They're a little different than some of the previous samples of the guy's handwriting.
Uh-huh.
I can show you better back at the office. Got a few things for you.
Think there's a possibility, Don?
Let me put it this way. I won't say it is, and I won't say it isn't. Let's pick him up and find out for sure. Here we are. Go ahead, fellas.
Thank you.
I've blown those things up here.
Uh-huh.
Call for you, Leo. I'm 3.
Oh, thanks, Harry. Excuse me. The Smith talking. You did? Uh-huh. We did. All right, look, why don't you bring him down to forgery detail here at the City Hall? We'll talk to him here. Right. Right, thanks. Well, looks like the end of the trail. That was Ashton. He and Miller picked him up. He's our man, admitted the forgery.
Looks like San Diego did all the work and we get all the luck.
Anyway, we got him.
You are in the Scientific Investigation Division of a Metropolitan Police Department. The Ballistics Room.
You have just heard a test bullet fired from a .38 caliber revolver found in the possession of a suspect.
The test slug is removed from the ballistics box and compared with the slug found at the scene of the crime.
There they are. Side by side, they look alike. But examination will prove a world of difference.
Now, examine a Fatima. Compare it with any other king-size cigarette. Side by side, they'll look alike. But right away, you'll find there's a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
In the routine solution of a case, the police officer is always benefited by the legwork of his fellow officers. In this case, the men of the San Diego Police Department, in conjunction with the Post Office Department, had done most of the spade work, and the actual apprehension of the suspect appeared to be almost too easy on our end. Even though Ben and I hadn't participated in the physical arrest of the suspect, we felt the same gratification for the speedy solution of the case as did the postal authorities. Monday, March 3rd, 3:27 p.m., Miller and Ashton of the Post Office Department brought the suspect in for questioning. The prisoner was turned over to Inspector Leo Smith. Ben and I sat in on the interrogation.
Carver Gleason, that's your true name?
Yes, sir, it is.
You say you've never been arrested before?
No, sir, I never have.
Now, you know we're going to check that out.
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's go over it again.
The same way?
Well, that's up to you. We want the truth.
I've told you the truth. You asked me questions about stealing mail, about forging checks. You said I was down in San Diego. Well, it's not true. None of it's true.
Have you ever stolen from the mails?
No, sir, I never have. I know this is a pretty serious offense.
What makes you think forging isn't? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm not. I didn't say that, but this was the first time I've ever done anything like this. I didn't even think about the consequences.
Should have thought about them. When's the last time you were in San Diego?
I've never been there. I don't even know for sure where it is.
How long you been in Los Angeles?
About 3 months now.
Where's your home?
Akron, Ohio.
How old did you say you were?
25.
And what have you been doing since you got out here?
Well, it's just it. Nothing. Can't find a job.
Well, how you been getting by? How you been living?
Been staying down at the YMCA. Hope Street, I guess it is.
What have you been doing for money?
Well, my folks gave me a low when I left Akron. Thought I'd have a job by now. I didn't want to write home for any more, so when I found that check, I figured I could get away with it. I needed money, and I cashed it.
And where'd you say you found it?
Over on, that street out that way, La Cienega. Is that how you say it?
La Cienega, yeah. Now, what were you doing out there?
Well, I was answering an ad in the classifieds, trying to find a job. I had to park the car down the street from the place, and on my way back, I found this check on the sidewalk right near the bank on the corner.
Where'd you get the car?
It's my father's.
The car's registered in your name with California plates. How do you explain that?
Well, the folks told me when I got to California to go right to the authorities and register the car if I was going to stay so I wouldn't get in any trouble. That's where part of my money went.
You got anything else you want to tell us?
Well, I did it. I admit that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make it up somehow. The check was for $57. I gave the men that arrested me 50 of it, and I spent $7.
Yeah, that's all on the record.
I did wrong. I'll pay the $7 back.
Well, you can take that up with the judge, Gleason. Friday, Romero, you want to step outside with me a minute?
Yeah, right.
Gleason, you wait here with that officer.
Yes, sir.
And what do you think?
He's telling the truth. He's not the one we want.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'll go along with Ben.
Well, it makes 3 of us.
Monday, March 3rd, 5 p.m. We went in and checked with Don Myers. In carefully going over exemplars of Carver Gleason's handwriting, he had definitely eliminated him as our suspect. Carver Gleason remained in custody awaiting trial. 3 months went by. During this time, the burglaries and forgeries continued. Suspects were picked up, checked out, and released. We got nowhere. Tuesday, July 12th. We received a communication from Chief Adam Jensen of the San Diego Police Department, who stated he was forwarding a radiogram from Chief John W. Polsine of the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Police Department. The radiogram from Chief Polsine stated that his handwriting man in Milwaukee had identified the suspect's handwriting, as listed in one of the San Diego bulletins, as belonging to Philip E. Holloway. Holloway was arrested 2 years previous on a reckless driving charge. The physical description of the man matched closely with the one that we'd received on the suspect known to us as Harvey Fletcher. They further stated that although he was at one time a resident of Milwaukee, they had nothing further on him. It was just an outside chance, but we decided that in all probability this could be the suspect's true name, Philip E. Holloway. This information was forwarded to the postal authorities. Ben and I started to check through our channels to determine the whereabouts of the suspect, Philip E. Holloway, with a possible alias of Harvey Fletcher.
Yeah, that's it, Joe. Nothing in any of the phone books.
Yeah.
Covered everything I can think of. Our records, sheriff's records, nothing from CII, utility companies.
Yeah, well, maybe Smith found something on him. We haven't got anything here.
Think I'll give him a call, huh, Joe?
Yeah, I'd like to know. That's extension 664.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 664. Hello, Inspector Smith, please. How's that? Oh, I see. No, that's all right, thank you. He's on his way over here. He left 5 minutes ago.
I sure hope he's got something.
Joe, Ben?
Hi, Leo.
I think maybe we ran it down.
Good. How'd you do it? Through the Postal Service?
Yep. Didn't figure, did it?
Well, we didn't think he'd stay put long enough to have a permanent address.
Well, he's been on the move, but we got the last known address on him. Received mail there 2 days ago.
You want to check with Don Myers? He's been working over those exemplars Milwaukee sent us.
I just did. Called him about 15 minutes ago.
Oh, we just got back from R&I.
What do you have to say this time?
Well, he and Conway agree all the way this trip.
Yeah?
Holloway's our man.
Together with the postal authorities, Ben and I helped in the 24-hour surveillance placed on the suspect, Philip E. Holloway. Our findings disclosed that he was living in a modest apartment house, and he was employed by a local vacuum cleaner company as a door-to-door salesman. This type of occupation would enable anyone to have suspicion-free access to any and all types of home mailboxes. The first 3 days of the surveillance failed to disclose any further incriminating evidence. Thursday, July 17th, fifth day of the 24-hour surveillance, 2:30 p.m. Holloway came out of his apartment building, got into his car, and drove approximately 4 miles to the Echo Park residential district. He parked his car, got out, and went up the steps of a small apartment house. Together with Inspector Leo Smith, Ben and I followed him.
You want to pull up here, Ben? This is good.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he's going for that mailbox, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the key. He's opening the panel.
Not a worry in the world. Broad daylight. Look at that.
Yeah. He's got all the letters out of the box, got them in his pocket. On his way back to his car.
Leo, there's a bank right up there on Sunset, see?
Okay, let's stay with him.
How's it look, Joe? You can see up ahead there. Is he pulling out?
Wait a minute. All right, let's go. Better pull up here, huh?
Now, look at that. Just like it was blueprinted. Going right in the bank.
Come on.
Yeah. Joe, you see him?
There he is. Second window.
Let's get in line right behind him.
All right.
Yes, sir. May I help you?
Yes, I wonder if you can cash a check for me?
Yes, sir. Would you endorse it, please?
Sure. There you are. As you can see, this is one of my mother's checks. I guess I can cash it all right for her.
Do you have any identification?
I'm sorry, I don't. I'll say I have this envelope the check was mailed in. Will that fit?
Yes, I think that's all right. How would you like this, sir?
He doesn't want it anyway, miss. Just hold that check for us, please. Postal inspector.
Yes, sir.
I beg your pardon. I believe you're making a mistake here.
No, there's no mistake. Come on, step over here. Shake him down.
I don't understand all this.
That key you used over there on Baxter Street, that the one you made from that panel you stole over on Alvarado about 4 months ago?
You know about that, huh?
Yeah, we do.
I did all right for a while, didn't I? That key angle's a pretty good one, isn't it? There isn't a lock in the world I can't make a key for.
We got one in mind you might have trouble with.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in the United States District Court, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, all of us on Dragnet are convinced that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. We think you'll like them as much as we do. But the only way you can tell is to buy a pack of Fatimas and compare them with any other king-size cigarette. Now, side by side, they'll look alike, but in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima. You'll agree, Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
The suspect, Philip Elwood Holloway, was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 10 years in the federal penitentiary. 5 years of his sentence was suspended, and he was placed on probation, one of the conditions being that he make restitution of the stolen money.
Ladies and gentlemen, accidents of all types kill more persons from 1 to 35 years of age than does any single disease. America's homes and children can best be kept safe if every father, mother, and child develops the personal responsibility to know and observe home safety rules. Make home safety a family affair. Be careful. The life you save may be your own.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.